Across New South Wales, Queensland, wherever you might be listening, it's a very happy Mother's Day to all the mums, the grandmums, the wives, the girlfriends, everybody celebrating Mother's Day wherever you are. We hope you have a wonderful and well-deserved celebration today. Look after your mum wherever you are. Just before we go to the boys, Storm 50, Souths 0, Penrith 48, Sharks 0, Parramatta 31, Roosters 18, Knights 24, Raiders 16, 5 straight losses for the Raiders. The boys will have plenty to say about that. Titans 36, Tigers 28. We'll have plenty to say about that as well. Cowboys, a great win over the Broncos, 19-18. A quick look at the live ladder. Penrith 18, then Parramatta 16, Melbourne and Souths 14, Roosters 12. Then there's a gap of 4 points to the Dragons, Titans and Warriors. Now, Warriors, of course, play Manly today. There's a chance for both the Warriors and the Dragons to fill that gap today and jump up onto 10. So a big game for the Warriors today, which we will talk about in the course of the afternoon, have score updates for you for that one as well. Now, before we go any further, Gordon Tallis, welcome to you.
Good afternoon, Anthony. How are you?
Fantastic. And you had a great Mother's Day. Obviously, you're away from home today.
Yeah, had to get up early. I rang Mum. Actually, she's not feeling well, but took Gemma out and got her a coffee. So 2 Mother's Days. So it was good.
Yeah.
And little Billy made her a little pot at kindy, like he's at daycare. Yeah, so painted a pot, which took him all week to do, finger paint. Yeah, it's a great $300 that I spent for that. Daycare.
Paul, you've rung your mum up there. Where's she in Tweed Heads?
No, she's a little bit further up north now,
Right.
Anthony. She's up at Bribey Island now, but she's going all right, so everything's good.
And Hoops, you were at home with your beautiful Jess. You would have made, breakfast in bed, and the kids would have helped and all that?
We had kids' footy very early this morning, Anthony, so I went and did that first. That was an 8 a.m. kickoff, and then we went home and we did breakfast at home after that.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was quality. Happy Mother's Day to all the mums out there. Do a fantastic job, and a lot of them involved in the greatest game of all as well.
Yeah, well said. Hoops, Kenny and Gordy Tallis and Maroon here. So we're going to look at all these games over the course of the afternoon. First things first, though, I think the two most disappointing so far teams up until yesterday were probably the Knights and the Raiders. But the Knights came back from a big deficit to beat the Raiders, and that for the Raiders is their 5th straight loss. Before we dig deep into that one, what were your thoughts on the game, Hoops?
I think it's alarm bells for Canberra, the fact that they led 16-0 at half-time and looked in complete control, and then half-time rolls on and they come back out in the second half, and it was back to the bad old days. And now there's that scary statistic, which I think is they've had 93 points scored against them in second halves this season, and they've only scored 8 themselves. So, yeah, there's some concerns there. Having said all of that, it's still a damn good roster.
Well, we look at the fact, boys, that they've lost 5 straight. They've lost 6 of the last 7. And remembering, if we can, they only got out of jail against Cronulla back in about round 2. So it's just been off the rails before the season even got going, Paul.
Yeah, it's been a disappointing season for the Raiders, no doubt. I think when teams go through these periods, I think everybody looks for what the problem is. And it's probably a little bit of everything and not a lot of one thing. And I think because of that, the Raiders have really sort of struggled to get themselves right. There's no doubt, I think, that they were a team that were playing a really quick, up-tempo type of attack a couple of years ago. And I think the change in the rules last year, they adapted to that pretty well. But then they've gone again this year, and I think some of the players probably haven't adapted as well as they'd like, and the club's starting to realise that. And I also think that because of the rule change, it's forced every other team to also start to go down that second phase footy style, which the Raiders 2 years ago were clearly the best team in the NRL at doing. But now everybody's doing it. So that sort of unique talent that they had that separated them from the other teams is no longer there because the other teams are all doing it as well. And often, as we've seen so far, doing it better. Because that's the thing that I've really, for my 2 cents, the second phase has just gone right out of the Raiders' footy, where it was that was their go. That's what separated them and made them such a dominant team for the past few seasons. But this season, it hasn't been there, and you see the likes of Melbourne are playing great second phase footy when they get a bit of momentum through their set. You see the Penrith are the best at it in the NRL. The Raiders are just getting left behind.
I know he's only one player, Kenty, but how much of a factor is John Bateman in all of that?
Massive. Look, John Bateman was an unorthodox player, but John Bateman brought a couple of things with him that's very hard to find. One, he was had a tremendous will to win that was it was magnetic. He dragged other players along with him, and the other thing was he was intimidating. He was tough. I remember a couple of years ago going down to watch the Raiders play Penrith at Wagga, and him and Kickow, like Johnny Bateman ended up getting hurt in the game, but him and Kickow, Bateman made it his mission to go after Kickow, and it was fighting way out of his weight division when you see the two men up against each other. But such was the tenacity that he brought. You saw Kickow and the Penrith players were a little bit put off by it. They just, well, hang on, didn't expect this. That encouraged the Raiders players, so they that's now out of their team. And it was always going to be a big loss, Johnny Bateman. It was always going to be underestimated how big a loss he would be. And I think we're starting to see that now.
The alarm for me is it's the senior players. Yeah, it's Croker, it's Hodgson, Big Papali'i, and Tamani Tarpanay, who is such a great young talent that they're the ones that aren't playing or this or aren't happy. If it's young kids, you can just get rid of them. But those are the guys that would be driving the standard, and all the young kids are seeing the standard that's getting set by those guys. So something's got to change. I'm not saying that they can't win because, you're just one win away from all that external noise going away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or 2 or 3 wins away from that.
Well, they're probably a couple wins now. One win's not going to fix it for the Raiders. They're a couple wins now. Then they've got to have a couple of good wins. And they've got to get players like Josh Hodgson back playing good footy. They've got to get Jared Croker back playing good footy. And Gordon, to your point, I think that's what the Raiders have sort of, figured out this year was with the extra speed in the game because of the more six agains. A couple of those senior players just haven't adapted.
Yeah, and I've been in that situation. And I've said it before. I played in the worst ever Broncos team and the best. I think in '99 we lost. Or we'd won 1 out of 10 games. We drew 1 and beat South. We just brushed South away, Maroon. Did you hear that?
I remember that game, mate. Yeah.
But, and then we were soul searching and we had a really good side. I know Elf and Steve Renoff and Angie G and Peter Ryan and those guys had left. But we still had a good young core of guys, Webke, Sailor, and we were struggling. So we're working hard. We're going having a beer. We're going go-karting. We're going skirmishing. because we didn't know. We were trying to find ourselves. Then all of a sudden it clicked, and then we went on a run and won, I think, 12
How did
in
it
a row.
click? What clicked?
We just gutsed out a win. We just gutsed out one win, and then it kept a bit of pressure off us. And it was scrappy, and then each week we just improved. But we worked really hard. So, and that's what I'm saying, Paul. So sometimes we were working that hard. We were carrying all our divots, mate. We were taking it home. It was pressure on the family. Everybody's getting asked, mate, what's wrong with the Broncos? Then all of a sudden you get 1 win, and you get 2 wins, and you get 3 wins. And then you could feel the pressure getting off, and then you could just concentrate on your job again and what you bring for the team. But the further you get down, you start worrying about all your teammates, and you hear the noise, and it gets louder.
You had a hell of a roster that year that you're referencing, Gordon, at the Broncos. And look, I think this Canberra Raiders roster, I wouldn't put it quite on par with that Broncos side, but it's a terrific roster. People at the beginning of the year, plenty of people were prepared to say that
they're a top 4
they
side.
were the premiers.
Yep.
Most experts had them in their top 4. And I think to get a little bit pointed, Anthony, you can trace this back to there was a game against Parramatta in round 5, and the Raiders were beaten on home soil by the Eels. And after that, their coach, and this is what the good coaches have to do, decided, right, I've got to have some direct conversations, and the players that I need to be direct with, most of them are all my senior players, the leaders of this club. And so Ricky Stewart's done that. Off the back of that, Josh Hodgson has decided that he doesn't want to be the co-captain anymore. He picked up a calf injury. Jared Croker ended up re-injuring his shoulder in the next couple of games, and he's now been sitting out for the last couple of weeks. Josh Papali'i, this was a big one for me. The fact that he wanted, I don't know exactly what's happened there.
Did he want a week off, or did he get given a week off?
Gordy, I'm being straight. I don't know what the story was there. All I know is I find it's staggering that the best prop in the game would want to have a week off at this stage of the season.
It was the best prop in the game last year, not this year.
Yeah.
Let's boys. Everybody's got a question about the Raiders and dissension in the ranks. So everybody was into Ricky Stewart in the press conference about that. Have a listen.
Were you happy with the way the guys sort of responded in that first half? I guess they looked like they put a lot of their problems behind them.
Yeah, they're problems that you read. They're not problems inside the camp. So as much as you want to read into it, they're problems that everybody enjoys reading and speculating on, but we're a happy camp in regards to what you read.
Okay, there he is talking about that. Now, obviously, the next question, Paul.
Well, I just want to say one thing about that is that if it is an unhappy camp, generally when teams are unhappy, they start poorly. And the Raiders haven't been starting poorly. Raiders have been starting well. Their problem is that they're not staying with the speed of the game. And that's why they're getting, what's your stat? 93-6?
93-8 in the last 5 weeks.
In the second half. And that's where they've lost the games, in the second half of every game. And that's to me, that's not an unhappy camp problem. That's a off the speed type problem where they just can't stay with teams as the game gets into that period where you need a little bit of attrition.
Yeah, but I think where people are calling a little bit of BS on the whole, we are all hunky-dory and happy days, is it's not just one issue with one player. It's a variety of different issues, and it's multiple senior players at the joint. Look, I'll back Ricky Stewart. He's the coach of the joint. He's a premiership winning coach. He knows how to fix it, but at the moment they're in a rut. That's the situation.
Now, the other thing was I thought he was very composed at the press conference yesterday, but there was a couple of little hints that he might be about to erupt. Have a listen to this.
Is it a matter of just nursing them, or you stay away from the spray or giving it to them? You seem pretty subdued in the sheds there.
No, did I? That's good.
Was that the approach you took, Putt, or you were fired up? You were more fired up.
No, I wasn't fired up. Me.
Yeah, so that seemed like it kind of went under the radar a little bit, but
not anymore.
It's classic Sticky.
All this stuff you talk about them starting well, Paul. But Gordy, from the point of view of a player that runs out there, now we've seen them get mowed down a couple of times from behind. What goes through your head? You've got a big lead, then the other team scores a try. Do you go, oh, well, here we go again. We're gone.
Well, I heard Mel Meninga talk about it last night on Fox. There's not enough resilience with some of the lower clubs and maybe with the Raiders where they're at. And it's just confidence. I tell you, once it goes, I don't know how you get it back. And it's $1 million question. And as I said, if they get it back and they win a couple of games, it becomes easy. Winning's contagious and so is losing. And at the moment, they're in a rut and they get ahead and they think that their job's done, right? And they think Newcastle's going to fall over and they're not going to fight back. Then they score a try, and then the Knights go, hey, that wasn't that bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like then they've had all the ball, and and then they start feeling it. Like, mate, I watched it with the Titans and the Broncos. It was 22-0 after 20 minutes. Mm. Then Brisbane scored 38.
Minutes, I think it was.
Yeah, 38 unanswered points. Yeah. How does that come? How did Brisbane turn their lights on? And then last night, it was their best quality game of the year.
Boys, we've got a couple of calls coming through here.
I don't know.
The phone's gone absolutely bunter over this topic of Raiders, and we'll get to the Tigers a little bit later on as well. But 133353. Let's go to Alfred's Point. Jared is on the phone. Jared, firstly, have you wished your mum a happy Mother's Day?
Oh, of course, mate. Otherwise, I would have copped it like no other if I didn't. Trust me.
Righto, mate. What did you want to say?
Just had a quick question, guys. Just for going back to around Canberra's form at the moment, because you were saying that obviously Ricky's had the tough conversations with a lot of senior players in the group, whether George Williams' sort of timing of, becoming homesick or, wanting to go back to England, do you reckon that's a result of maybe Ricky having that tough conversation with him about how his performance hasn't been up to standard, and then that's why he's having second thoughts about playing the game in Australia at the moment?
Yeah, it's a fair question, Jared. I don't think it is a result of that tough conversation, because off the back of it becoming public that George is a little bit homesick, and it's important to point out his partner's pregnant at the moment, and because of the COVID shutdown all over the world, it's meant that his family and his partner's family, nobody's been able to come out here, and conversely, nobody's been able to go back over to the UK either. But off the back of this story becoming public, it then emerged that somebody acting on behalf of George Williams had been asking questions out here amongst other NRL clubs over the summer, suggesting that George might be looking for the full Australian experience, and he'd like to live closer to the beach, that sort of thing. So I don't think that it is a result of a couple of the harder conversations that have taken place over the course of this year.
Okay, well, look, thank you for your call, mate, and all the best for your family for Mother's Day. Now, you say one win might start to get them back on track, boys. Well, Magic Round up there at the beautiful Suncorp Stadium, they take on the Doggies at 3 o'clock next Saturday. So with due respect to Trent and the boys, you would think if they do lose that one, well, there's going to be some questions that certain people will want answered.
That's what they'll call rock bottom. They lose the Dogs.
Are you calling that game, Anthony?
I believe I am heading up to Brisbane to call that one. We've got a big full card up there, full dance card up there at Brisbane.
You have got a full. What day are you going up?
I'm going up Friday morning. Thanks for asking. We've got a big function at Brothers Ipswich, me and Fletch and Hindy, all up into the Knights-Tigers game.
Here we go.
Fletch, Hindy and I.
And then Fletch, Hindy and I. That's right, yeah. I'm going to go and see the grandkids. They live in Warner in Queensland, in Brisbane.
How much folding?
No folding. It's
No
never.
folding?
It's not a folding. But look,
There's no way Fletch and Hindy are doing it without folding. and just out of guilt, they've got to offer you something.
No, well,
They mightn't get there because they're catching a Winnebago with Matt from Collaroy.
I know that. Well,
all the way up there. They mightn't get there. They might stop in Byron.
That's on my mind. That's on my mind.
So then you just keep my number because I'm only about 20 minutes away from it.
Yeah. Mate, don't worry. I've rented the littlest, cheapest car I could get, and I'll come around to your joint, and you'll look like a circus bear going to Ipswich in that thing. All right, boys, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. Tigers fans, get ready. We're going to jump into the Tigers next. 1-333-553. Are you a Tigers fan? We've all heard all sorts of nonsense over the last week or two. They should drop them out of the NRL. They should disband the joint venture. This is all rubbish as far as I'm concerned, but 1-333-553. Tigers fans, what's on your mind? We'll talk about it next as Triple M rocks the footy.
The Triple M Sunday Sin Bin.
A couple of games on today. Warriors, Manly. That game's going to be an absolute cracker. Manly have come back from the dead this year. Then, of course, it's the Dragons and the Doggies. But so far, Storm 50, Souths 0, Penrith 48, Sharks 0. Parramatta 31, Roosters 18, Knights 24, Raiders 16, Titans 36, Tigers 28. I think that score flatters the Tigers a little bit. Cowboys 19, Broncos 18. Today, Manly Warriors, Dragons and Dogs. Just before we go any further, by the way, those scores are thanks to Tyre Power. The big freeze sale is now on. Get the power of Australia's biggest independent tyre network. Xavier Coates officially joining Melbourne Storm. Both clubs have released statements. A 2-year deal. Xavier Coates officially joining the Melbourne Storm on a 2-year deal. So we've got Gordy Tallis, Paul Kent, James Triceps Hooper and Maroon. The Titans beat the Tigers 36-28. I believe that score flattered the Tigers a little bit. They came back toward the end and put some points on. Now we're getting all sorts of talk about what is wrong with the Tigers. They're down close to the bottom of the ladder. They can't get a win at the moment. They're getting a lot of points racked up against them. Let me out 1-333-553. But we always lay our cards on the table here. Oops, you're a Tigers man. What's wrong?
Well, they missed a kick last night. They weren't at the races, and the Gold Coast just went bang, 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 and it's 18-0. It's ground.
It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. Like for the Tigers to not turn up again to a performance which was supposed to honour one of their great Warriors, to go out and be so lethargic and weak in their approach to the game. I don't know what goes through their head. Someone said to me yesterday when I was watching the game, do they need to get rid of the coach? I said, they don't need to get rid of the coach. They need to get rid of the players. The players are the guys that are losing the game. Like, the coach knows how to coach. And I wrote about this earlier in the week about the mental toughness it takes in the game. The Tigers have got no mental strength. And the minute Michael Maguire, and I feel sorry for Michael Maguire, the minute Michael Maguire tries to toughen them up a little bit, they whinge. He trains too hard. So Michael Maguire's now in this space where he can't train too hard because his job future it could be on the line because the players can whinge. You never hear of anyone coming out of Melbourne complaining that they're training too hard.
Because Bellamy's too big, and that's the problem. And Wayne Bennett's too big. Right, so you can't really bag
But they train as hard.
Absolutely.
They train harder. They train harder in Melbourne. They train harder in Melbourne than they do at the Tigers. But no one whinges because they know it brings success, and that's the price you got to pay to have success.
Well,
but no, the Tigers want to be known as footballers. They just don't want to act like footballers.
Yeah, but with respect though, you talk about Craig Bellamy and Wayne Bennett and Robbo, all that, but Michael Maguire's a premiership winning coach. here and in the UK.
Yeah, and in both stages rebuilt the clubs.
Yep.
But what he's got is he's got too big a group of players who have got soft underbellies.
The club's got a soft underbelly. The club's always had a soft underbelly. The only grand final they won was in 05.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys, they beat them 50, and it was high scoring. That's when it changed, and it wasn't defence orientated. It was attack.
It was a shootout.
And
they didn't beat them by 50 in the GF.
But in the first
finals,
final, they did.
Yep.
Right. But that year, it was more of a touch football competition.
Yeah, it was.
From my memory.
By the fact that the Tigers and the Cowboys were the two teams in the grand final. And the Tigers earlier in the year, after 5 rounds, were 66-1 to win the comp.
Yep.
They just went on this streak. But look, I've spoken to some people at the club who say they're right behind Michael Maguire. They believe in what he's doing, and they're going to stick with him through the long haul. The only way the Tigers will ever turn around is if they stick with Michael Maguire.
The Dragons had the same problem. Because Wayne Bennett asked me, he goes, what's wrong with the Dragons? I said, I always felt that we never got respect, that there was always a soft underbelly.
Yeah.
So he bought Neville Costigan and Bo Scott and all those guys. The Tigers need a no-nonsense, like a Nathan Brown. Get those guys in there that are no-nonsense. That drive your standards, because the standards that he wants, nobody's prepared to drive it for him there. And you got to go buy those players that have that standard, that said no, that had the cuts, that had a dad clip them around the ears and tell them no. And they've had setbacks in their life that when they get to a game of rugby league and someone scores a try, it doesn't worry them.
Yeah, too often. See, I reckon because of all this rubbish sports science, which tells you where you got your GPS on you, strap on, and the trainer comes over and says, listen, mate, you've already run 7 Ks this week, so you can sit down now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Don't forget the red dot and the blue dot and the green dot.
All this stuff. And all you're doing is finding excuses to. They're physically sharp, but they're mentally, I wouldn't say they're mentally weak, but they're mentally not tough. And so what's happening is you're not breeding mentally tough footballs. The Storm do, because they train tough. They go to the threshold and they red line. And when it gets tough like that, Bellamy says, you're still going. And he doesn't let them quit. And so that's why when the Storm are playing a game of footy and their backsides are hanging out, they are still mentally tough enough to do their job and stay within their structure. Whereas the Tigers, they just go to pieces.
They turn up for each other.
Yep. Tigers go to pieces because they're mentally tough. They start looking after themselves. What you got to do is you got to start. I think there's a really bad precedent at most clubs whereby coming through the junior ranks, because they're trying to apply all the latest sports science, you're getting all these superbly fit, finely tuned athletes who are mentally susceptible. So they're getting to first grade and they're not mentally tough.
Well, I remember Wayne Bennett one. I remember one of my coaches one day. There was a guy in the physio goes, listen, mate, I think he probably needs a week off. Wayne goes, don't tell him, I'll tell him. Yeah. Hey, mate, spoke to the physio. He said, you're right. He's got to tough it out. He played.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just don't tell him. Don't go get an X-ray. You don't know your arm's broken. Don't give them an excuse. And then don't give them an excuse.
There's a great story when Michael Moore was fighting as a heavyweight.
Michael Moore.
Okay, and Teddy Atlas was his trainer. And Michael Moore was known as a lazy trainer. And Teddy Atlas got to him, started to train him, and he realised he wasn't a lazy trainer. He was a good trainer, but he realised he was mentally weak. And so what he would do is, in his preparation for a fight, he would miss a road session, or he'd miss a session at the gym later that day. He'd miss a couple of sessions, and that's what created the reputation that he was weak, that he was a bad trainer. But what it was, Teddy Atlas identified from a psychological point of view, was what he was doing was he was giving himself an excuse to lose. So if he lost the fight, he could say, well, if I trained harder, if I hadn't missed that session, if I hadn't done that, if I'd done that road work, I would have won.
Yeah.
And that's how he made a little secret deal with himself to be able to live with himself if he lost the fight. And so when Michael Moore fought Evander Holyfield for the heavyweight title, he was determined not to let him miss a session. He said, if I take that session and he doesn't miss a session, then he's got no excuse to quit on me during the fight. So what he did was during the whole preparation, he'd ring him up every morning, 4 a.m. Mate, get up, time to go to road work. Yep, up you go. One more, mate, I'm not doing it today. You are doing it. I'm not doing it today. Teddy Atlas got in the car and drove around, got him out of bed. Mate, you're going on your run. Right. Made him go on his run. And so by the time he got in that ring, he had not missed a session, And he said to him, there are no excuses, mate, for you to lose today. You're a better fighter than him. You know how to win the fight. Go out and win the fight. And he went out and he won the fight. He went out and won the fight. And that was the mental key that the Tigers are always looking for an excuse not to have a go. There's a reason they lost. Why they lose now? Because Madge has trained them too hard. Forgive me, it's not Madge's fault.
Humans have only got better, right? So I don't want to be a dinosaur. So the players in the 80s and 70s, they did road runs, right? And that's how they got fit. We had a run in Brisbane and they said, don't stop. And it was 8.5 Ks and it was through the hill. And I came from St. George and I'd played Origin and we used to train pretty hard under Brian Smith and it was really tough sessions. And then they said, whatever you do, Gordy, don't stop. And the first hill's about 1.8 K and then you go down and then the last hill, they call it Heartbreak, it's about 500 metres. So whatever you do, just don't stop. Benny will be somewhere, running with you, whatever. And I was just about to stop because it was a tough run and I wasn't used to do it. And he just said, don't even think about it with a few other words. And Wayne Bennett was like a prey man, stuck to a tree. I couldn't see him. I couldn't see him. But it was just don't give up on yourself.
Yeah.
And then that was it. And then I turned up late for training one day. He told me to go home. In no uncertain terms, I was 15 minutes late, but I was early. But he changed training time. That's how you got treated. But that was it. We played a man's sport.
Yeah.
And I'm going out there to take on a 120-kilo guy, and they got to treat you like a man or treat you like a boy.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
I don't get it.
13353. The phone has gone crazy here. West Tigers, West Magpies fans, Balmain Tigers. Everybody wants to have their say. Let's go to Heartland, to Campbelltown. Josh, you got plenty to say about this whole West Tigers thing.
Haven't we? Well, just go back to the Magpies for starters. That'll do. We'll win games then if we go back to the old Magpies. A bit of Tommy spirit. But away from that, bring in Jock Madden, appeal number 7. Brooks, move aside. Tookie Simpkins, he's got second phase. He's 12 months away from being a real good footballer. From the Cowboys, he is outstanding in the middle of that New South Wales Cup. He'll offer something, and he's aggressive. He'll get up the line and want to hurt you. There's 2 things that Mad should do. And then also get an assistant coach who's actually going to be an NRL coach. The 2 or 3 blokes he's got now, they're not going to coach NRL. The good clubs have got NRL coaches as the offsider. So it's Madge trying to do the whole lot. From an outside looking in, obviously, he's trying to do the lot, where the good clubs, they've got 2 or 3 blokes.
Who is it? Billy Millard and
Snoopy Collins.
Yeah.
They're not going to coach NRL. No offence to them, they're not. And you need a good young up-and-coming coach. Roosters have got Fitzgibbon. The Panthers, who have they got? They got Cameron Sorrello. He's going to coach. So there's 2 good guys. Steve Kearney's gone back to Melbourne. He's going to give you good ideas. They've got Madge going, you see him sitting in the box looking at Madge, and someone say something to the poor bloke. He's got to have some offside. That's your job. Be an assistant coach and assist coaching him. They might win a few more games that way.
Good on you. Well said.
Yeah.
Well said, Josh. Thank you for
Makes
your
some
call,
great
mate.
points
And
there,
while I've got you, boys, let me just play you what Michael Maguire had to say after last night's defeat to the Titans.
Everyone's jobs are accountable around what we do on the field and how we train, and we've got some good young players coming through in reserve grade that are performing well. So I've just got to have a look at the dynamics of what we're doing, because we've got to do something to fix this consistency around what's been going on for quite some time. So
Yeah, well, I wish him all the success in the world, because I love the bloke. He got my side a premiership, and as you said, Paul, whatever they do, they've got to stick by him.
Yeah, look, the only concern I got there, with what they're doing lately, is the signing of blokes like BJ Leilua and James Roberts, who I think I look at them as panic signings. I think they're not Michael Maguire style players. He likes consistent players who what you're going to get out of every week. If you get a 7 out of 10 every week, you can deal with that in your side. And Michael Maguire coaches that way. Joey Leilua can be a 9 out of 10 or he can be a 3 out of 10.
Yeah.
And you just don't know what you get. And to the point, first half can be 9 and second half can be 3. And that's not the sort of players that you turn things around. And I think they've got to just be really tough and really disciplined in their recruitment. They copped a lot of heat last year when they let Benji Marshall go. And look, I think I could understand why they wanted more consistency in their defensive line there, and Benji was obviously, everyone watches how brilliant he is in attack, but defence. Maguire said, I can't set a standard within the club if the player I'm picking every week's not holding that standard. So I just think they've got to be really disciplined in their recruitment and really be clear about what sort of club and what sort of team they're trying to build here. I don't quite. There's a couple of little signs, like I said, the Robertson Leilua signings. I look at it, hang on, that sort of goes against where you're trying to go, and I wonder whether that's a result of the pressure that's being applied, and Maguire thinks he needs quick results rather than the club being
no doubt
built
about
in
it.
for
No question whatsoever.
How many coaches have they had? They've had Potter, Taylor,
Cleary.
Team
Cleary.
It's important to point out, right? Everyone always says they've sacked 5 coaches in the last 8 years.
Yeah, they haven't.
They sacked Tim Sheens. That was a grave mistake, and they've been Groundhog
they
Day
let
going
Sheensy
round
go.
in circles. No, they speared him.
Now,
They
Sheensy
speared
finished his contract,
Sheensy.
though.
No, he didn't. They speared Sheensy
thought
because
he
he
did.
sued him afterwards, and it cost him millions in a payout as well. They speared Sheensy. Then they brought in Mick Potter. They let Mick Potter go. Like, his deal was up.
They let it
after
expire.
2 years. They
Yeah.
let it expire. They brought in Jason Taylor. Then they
him.
sacked Jason Taylor. Then they brought in Ivan Cleary.
sacked them?
Ivan left. He sacked them. He did the get on the bus. You got to be on the bus or off the bus. Then he got off the bus himself. And they've been, just going around in
bit like the
circles.
fat controller and a Thomas.
You know what? You know what? Josh brings up a point, and it's not a good point. But this is what happens with all these, the 2 joint ventures we have left. Soon as there's a drama in the ranks, he says we should go back to being the Magpies. And then Tigers fans say we should go back to just being Balmain.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
West Tigers.
But mate, it's not going to happen. But this should not. If they're a united club,
But this is what happens in all joint ventures. This is what happens. You ask any Illawarra person
Let's
what they
remember.
want.
Yeah, mate,
the
you ask
Dragons
every
to be called.
Illawarra fan, mate, they love their socks running out every Sunday.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, but mate, the point is this, right? There's not a person who would be 25 who could remember
Less.
West or
Yep.
Balmain playing.
Yeah.
Western Suburbs Mag. That's where the game's. It's too late to go back to one or the other now.
Yeah.
Same as it is with the other joint ventures. It's done. They are now.
Ship
They are.
sailed.
Yep.
They
Yeah, they
are
don't
now
know.
bolted in those 2
So
clubs.
I suppose in another 20 years, we're all old and dead. Well, it never happened. Western and the Tigers.
Well, it's still in the history books.
I know
Anthony.
it's in the
People
his-
aren't
what
gonna-
I'm
people aren't gonna-
saying-
we
what
still
I'm
talk
saying,
about the
Hoops.
North Sydney Bears.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but
I'm
no
saying
one's running
because we're
around-
still alive and we remember them.
But no one's ever run around complaining the Glebe aren't there anymore.
That's the point I'm
We
making.
still remember
Or
and
Annandale.
celebrate
And wasn't
Newtown.
there an Annandale team back in the
Yeah,
right
and
at the
Uni.
beginning?
Uni.
Yeah, Uni.
Yep.
So did
I'll
you
s-
call a couple of those games,
I
Maroon?
did, mate. Yeah, I actually
You and
called
Frankie White?
Uni versus Mounties back in the 1947. Seth Blinkhorn scored a try. So, boys, we'll
And
take
Izzy was running the line.
Exactly.
Yes, he was big
The
back
old
then,
Malabar
Ezzy.
Moose was on the
Yeah.
wing. Yeah, old Ezzy. Boys, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Jaden Brayley from the Newcastle Knights for a chat. They had a good win yesterday. Maroons Trivia Night comes up as well. Great prize today. We've got some chicken twisties. They come into conversation last week. Chicken twisties. We are going to give away a packet of fresh chicken twisties.
Is Maroon Confidential back today as well?
Maroon Confidential is back today.
Outstanding.
And we have got one of rugby league's hottest new identities that's gone all out rebel, all out 1%er on a motorbike. Or is it a motorbike? Anyway, we'll talk about that more shortly as Triple M rocks footy.
The Triple M Sunday Sin Bin.
We're going to have a bit of fun shortly with Maroons Trivia coming up a little bit later on. Confidential too. We've got a couple of bits and pieces there. Might even have a shush, a guess who, don't sue.
What's the trivia topic today, Anthony?
Well, it's just general knowledge. I hope you didn't sneak a peek at the questions while I was out.
No.
Right?
He's still about 4 to
We've
1.
had the steward's inquiry. We've had the steward's inquiry after last week when
Yeah.
you were trying to show Gordon the answers.
Yeah. No, I was.
They've done an internal audit.
Yeah, no,
Internal investigation.
I am guilty of that. I was doing that, but only because I was trying to help him. Because I didn't want to, because you were giving me all sorts of nonsense
Grief.
last week, weren't you? All sorts. Who was the other? Who was it with us? Benji.
Yes, Benji was in.
Oh, well,
he
he's
always
gotta-
comes in for the last
He's got to
hour.
go, mate. He's got to go.
Why?
I
Don't
just
bag
think-
Benji when he's not
No,
here.
I just think we
Typical.
could probably just shop that bit of the show around a bit.
No,
Anyway,
get
look,
back on point.
we've got Knights 24, Raiders 16. It was a great win for the Knights yesterday to get their season back on track. Let's bring in one of the heroes from yesterday from the Knights. Jaden Brayley joins us on the Sunday Sin Bin.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Mate, well, firstly, that kickoff after half time, that first kickoff, that was an absolute masterstroke.
Yeah, it was. I was pretty happy to see that come off. There was nothing we planned during the week or something we saw on video. I think the coaches said that they kept it under wraps, and then obviously we saw their formation off kickoff, and there was a bit of space there. So KP worked a bit of magic, and he sort of got our second half to a positive start.
Mate, talk us about when you were down 16-0, what was said at halftime?
It was actually pretty good talking in the sheds at halftime. It was calm, but it was pretty direct. I think what let us down the first half, we were too loose defensively, especially in that middle third. You know, Papali'i was steaming through that middle third, and I think we gave up too many offloads, and we had 20 odd missed tackles, so it wasn't good enough in that area, and it's something we spoke about. And we couldn't afford to leak any more points in that second half because we're already 16 points down. So I was just so proud of the boys that we managed to keep them to 0 in that second half, and we found a way to win.
When you got into that second half, mate, could you sense a change in the Raiders?
I'm not too sure. I mean, for us, I could tell you how we felt. We felt, I think, obviously when we completed a lot higher and we tightened up that middle third, I felt we started to make a little bit more inroads. And I think in the first half, our completions were nowhere near up to scratch either. I think we were around 50%. So once we clicked in the gear, I think that's when we got our joy. And, as I said, we were very scratchy in that first half. But, it felt a whole lot better in that second half. Once we held the footy and kicked the corners and made the most of our opportunities.
Jayden, you had to fight right to the very end. It was a cracking contest. Were you surprised when Jordan Rapana kicked so early in the tackle count, when he made that break late in play and you obviously made that epic tackle?
I'm not too sure. I mean, I think it was just a lot of, I guess at the time they probably had a few more tackles up their sleeve, but, we had a lot of, I felt like in the last 10 minutes, especially when the game was in the balance, what I was most proud of with us was there was a lot of Knights jerseys in the picture when the game was in the balance. And as I said, like when the ball was on the ground, there was always a Knights guy jump on the footy, whether it was Musgrove or, even both our wingers saving tries. And I just felt like we really turned up for one another. And touched on previously, I think it was those effort areas that was missing there over the last couple of weeks that stood out for me yesterday in Wagga that really brought the game home to us.
Talking about effort, your two front rowers were absolutely outstanding yesterday in Clements Ifedi.
Yeah, 100%. They were outstanding, I thought, as well. They worked bloody hard in the middle. In the first half, we were under the pump a fair bit defensively, and they just hang in there, and they're very tough. And as a hooker, it's a joy to play off the back of those big guys. It's not hard for them to find some ruck speed and some go forward. And I thought they led from the front yesterday and made my job a whole lot easier at hooker and played a big part in turning the game around for us.
Speaking of your job, Jayden, another part of that this year's been the leadership of the club. How are you finding that, especially when the Knights have gone through a couple of little speed bumps the last few weeks?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I'm still learning along the way. I'm only a young captain, but for me, it's something I don't take lightly. Every week, it's a massive honour to be able to run the boys out and obviously have that C next to my name. It's just a massive honour. I can't stress enough how privileged I am to be in this position. But I think the way this season has been, I felt like I've been able to. I've dealt with a fair bit of a roller coaster from week to week, and I felt like the week that's just gone was probably my, a big test for me. I think it's easy to lead when things are going well and everything's rosy, but I feel like when your team's struggling a little bit and we're down in the dumps, I feel like I really had to stand up last week, both at training and for the game. So, I just want to do the best for my teammates and do everything I can on the field and play a good game of footy personally, which I think is really important.
Jayden, can you give us an insight into the kinds of things you've said to the players and you've asked of the players in those moments that you just spoke about?
Yeah, just hanging in there. I mean, through the week, obviously, as a team, which I think, based on how we were performing, there was a lot of things said, and a lot of it was warranted, I believe. We weren't playing good football as a team, and we're lacking in those effort areas, which you touched on before. But as a team, I just, kept relaying to the boys, that we know what we're capable of, and we just need to keep that belief, and we need to just show a little bit more grit in our performances, and especially as I said in the games, in the moments which mean most, which is in that last 10 minutes when the game's in the balance. So, we just wanted to have a really strong performance. Not focus on the result, but just get back to Knights football and playing tough and playing resilient. And as I said, I was just so proud of the boys yesterday that we were able to play with that grit that we know we can do. But now it's about doing that week after week and being consistent, because that's what it takes to win football games. You have to be able to produce that every single week. And, now our focus turns on to Tigers this Friday night.
How tough was it to rally them for the game last night, given the previous week?
It wasn't too hard, if I'm being honest. I mean, since last Saturday against the Roosters, I think from 1 to 17, we had that sort of that sick feeling in our stomach, that fire in the belly, I believe. We took it to heart, took it to personal with how we performed. It wasn't good enough against the Roosters here at home, and I think it's just we're disappointed because we know that we're such a better football side than what we produced. And to be honest, leading into the game, we knew it was a big week, but we couldn't wait to get out there and produce a response as well. And, as I said, the first half, definitely wasn't too great. We didn't start off very well, but the second half was Knights football, and I'm just really proud that we're able to claw our way back and into a position to win the game and end up coming away with the 2 points. We
were talking earlier on the show, Jayden, about mental toughness and how it's almost come at the cost of sports science these days to ensure that players are kept fresh and up on their toes. They're not pushed to the limits like they have been in previous years and previous generations. And because of that, we often see these periods in games where teams just don't have the mental strength to stay in the contest. Do you have a thought on why that is so?
I'm not too sure. I definitely think obviously with the rule changes, I think teams are under a lot more fatigue, and I can definitely feel the games quickened up. I was sat out for...
Are you used to that fatigue, though? Like, do you get to that stage often in your training that you know how to work through it and persevere?
Yeah, 100%. Well, we train pretty hard here at the Knights, and we have big pre-seasons, and through the week, in particular last week, we probably did a little bit more at training to put us under that, physical stress. And as you touched on, I think the good teams are able to persevere and stay in there when the times get tough, and just hang in there and shut teams out. I think that's massive. And at the Knights, we want to be a resilient football team, and because every team can attack well, but if you're able to shut them out, and especially at times when you're not feeling the best, I think that's massive and a really big sign of mental toughness. So that's a big part of our game, and how we want to be known for as a football team. It's just, we've got to do it week after week.
Good on you, mate. All the very best with it. I hope you get to catch up with your mum or give her a phone call. I was just wondering what it must have been like for you, 3 or 4 weeks ago, playing NRL level and playing against your brother.
Yeah, it was a very special day for us. I think I had about 15 to 20 family members there here at Newcastle. So it was a pretty special day for all of us, and definitely one that we'll never forget. I'm just happy that I've got the bragging rights for the first time around. Which was nice.
For the Brayley Cup. Good on you, mate, and all the very best for Magic Round.
Too easy. Thanks, East guys.
There he is, Jayden Brayley, joining us from the mighty Newcastle Knights. It's Triple M Sunday Sin Bin with Gordon Tallis, Paul Kent, James Triceps Hooper, and Maroon. Of course, last week I made the comment that whatever Paul says, Hoops says. I said if Paul wanted chicken twisties, Hoops would want chicken twisties.
Oh, is that why you're going with the chicken twisties?
So we've got
today,
chicken twisties to give away. Well, Asunta Soprano, our listener from Abbotsbury, has said, I heard the comment. I just so happened to have just been down to the Hot Dollar store in Liverpool and bought a box of chicken twisties. So she sent a couple of packs in, and we're going to give them away next on Maroon's Quiz as Triple M rocks the footy.
The Triple M Sunday Sin Bin.
We've got a game kicking off very shortly. Manly and the Warriors. We'll have score updates for you for that game too here as Triple M rocks the footy. Right now, though, we're going to lighten things up a bit. It's time for this.
Welcome to Maroons Trivia Night.
So we've got our Trivia Night now, which is in full swing. Of course, we're giving away chicken twisties on the back of me saying that whatever Paul says, Hoops says. If Paul wants chicken twisties, so does Hoops. So chicken twisties today, courtesy of our friend Assunta Soprano. And we might even throw in a couple of frozen Sunny Boys as well that we've got in the freezer.
Cola.
But we haven't had a packet of chicken.
You've opened the twisties
I have. But I've still got a couple of packets.
You've opened the prize.
I've still got...
You've opened the prize, old chainsaw teeth just ripped in.
She's got about 10 packets here. Buffhead, Festa. Let's get stuck into it. Your name is your buzzer for the chicken twisties today. Are we all ready? Right, here we go. Approximately 79... It's general knowledge today too, by the way. Approximately 79% of the world's population has what colour eyes? Paul.
Brown.
Yeah, brown. 1-0. Question number 2. Who lost the grand final in 2003? Paul.
Roosters.
Oh, he's too quick. He's too quick. Don't worry. If he gets a packet of twisties, I've got a pack for you too.
Thanks, Anthony. Chainsaw teeth.
Mate,
Thank you.
My teeth are perfectly straight.
Yeah.
In fact, your
you've had them done.
Your friend from
They look
boarding
like piano
school.
keys.
I tell you what,
They look like
boarding
piano
school did it.
keys.
I tell you what, well, your mirror must be broken. If you think you smile straight.
I tell you what, mate, your mate from boarding school.
Yeah.
Mark,
It's a mosaic mirror.
didn't he? Down there at the Macquarie Street.
Oh,
Yeah, he's got plenty.
he has
I know
got
that for a
plenty,
fact because
yeah.
I gave it to him.
Yeah.
All right,
What's
the
his-
next one. Your name is your buzzer. What rock pop star died on Christmas Day in 2016? Paul.
David Bowie.
And that's incorrect.
Oh, is it?
It's George Michael. Hey, you're a chance here, Gordy. You're a chance here, Hoops.
He died just after Bowie, didn't
Yeah, he did. 1-0 is the score. All right, here we go. This is appropriate. What American state is the Lone Star State?
Paul. Texas.
2-0. Oh. Okay, here we go. Do you want to check your buzzer works, Hoops?
Working.
All right, okay. I told you today, mate, just run at me. Just run at me.
Mate.
It's 2-0. It's 2-0. Here we go. In which Bond film did Daniel Craig debut? Paul.
Casino Royale.
Oh, he's even got one wrong, and he's still won 3-0. He's absolutely lapped you blokes. We've got to can this competition. There's no competition.
It's good, Anthony. It's good radio.
It's no competition. No, but I think you feel a little bit down when you lose.
Next week, I'll sit the first 2 questions out. Okay. Well, that's what you do. Look, you put 60 kilos on far lap. So I'll sit. I'll sit the first 2.
Oh, we don't call you. We don't call you far lap. We call you Alvin Purple, don't we? And we're going to take a break and come back with more as Triple M rocks the footy.
The Triple M Sunday Sin Bin.
James Triceps Hooper and Maroon here. Now, the big boxing bout that was on is all over by the looks of things, Kenty.
Yes, it's all over. Stoppage at the end of the 8th round. They stopped it in the corner. Billy Joe Saunders' corner stopped it. Canelo Alvarez is the winner. And it looks like, we're still waiting for a replay, but it looks like Saunders has got a fractured cheekbone, which is what stopped the fight. They're just showing the replay now. He was going all right, and he was actually quite well in the fight. And they've just shown the punch. He's walked straight into a right hand, and it looks like it's caused significant damage to his cheekbone. Might even be depressed fracture of the cheekbone, which is a pretty painful injury. That's what Sam Burgess had played in the grand final in 14 with the Rabbitohs. So shows you how brave Sammy is.
I wonder what you would get for winning a big boxing match like that.
It all depends pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
So the Mayweather sometimes fights for
$3 or $4 millions. Hundreds of millions?
Yes.
Good Lord.
And then, I don't know what this
You
one
could
is.
buy the entire suburb of Little Bay.
Really?
You can't believe you're missing out on some of that.
Oh, I just go
money
You wouldn't
floating
just
around,
have a
you can't get
compound. You'd have several palaces.
Let's get ready to rumble or let's go. You could come up with a catch.
What would your
Maroons
what
trivia.
would be your little phrase if you came up with your let's get ready to rumble? What would it be?
Oh, geez, I'd have to think about that. But if
Let's
I
rip them off.
Protect yourself at all times, Anthony.
I would be say
guard your pockets.
I definitely
guard your wallet.
Cassius Clay.
He said Cassius Clay.
Cassius Clay.
Anyway, I'm sure Todd Payton doesn't want to listen to this nonsense. He's on the phone and he joins us on Sunday Sin Bin. Todd Payton, welcome.
Hi guys, how are we?
Hey, congratulations, mate. We're good. It seems like an eternity we've waited. I know COVID's the reason, but an eternity we've waited for a big crowd in Townsville, a close game, and a Cowboys win.
Yeah, no, last year's game, when the opening game last year was a sellout, but obviously with all the COVID stuff rumbling away in the background immediately, they had 5,000 people not turn up. So last night was a crowd record, and they got a typical Broncos Cowboys clash over the years. So yeah, good result for us in the end.
Obviously, they are big games, and I played in a few. So, what was it like coaching your first local derby?
No, I enjoyed it. The anticipation was around town through the week. It means more to everyone up here, obviously. The perception is that we're the Broncos' little brother, and the locals here don't take too kindly to that. So there's a point to prove. It was really enjoyable. I noticed it just going to my young fellas footy on Saturday. I had a couple of people come up and wish us well. And just around town, just grabbing a coffee here or there. Certainly some anticipation for the game. So it was really enjoyable.
What are you putting the improvement down to, Todd? Like you came out guns blazing at the beginning of the season, caused a lot of talk around the game, and we're starting to see a performance out of the team. And you spoke last night after the game about starting to see the things you're trying to put in place. What are you working towards? What are you pleased to be seeing in the side right now?
Oh, I'm just enjoying the fight, Kenny. We've been talking a lot about playing the game the right way, and there's been a seismic shift with the way that we want to play with the ball in our hand, and obviously when we're defending. So that was always going to take a bit of time, but playing the right way for me is spending energy to gain energy. So it's just making our players aware at the right time to spend the energy and knowing where you're going to get it back. So the game's evolved over the past 12 to 18 months again, and it's sped up. It's still a learning curve for a lot of our players from week to week, but I can see us making some small improvements from week to week.
Toddy, Kenny touched on the fact that you did rattle the cage initially when you arrived at the Cowboys, and I think given where the club had finished the last 3 years, it had to be done. But how did you handle? There was obviously a lot of reports about yourself taking on Jason Taumalolo publicly, and reports that perhaps Valentine Holmes was a little bit unsettled. How did you handle that, and what have you learned out of that?
I got off Twitter. And,
what were we on there for in the first place?
I never posted. I just always, it was my news feed, that's how I kept up to date with things. But I got off that. I didn't expect it to blow up like it did, and I didn't intend it to put the pressure on Jason, on myself, and on the club the way it did. But I was purely just trying to raise the bar in what's expected of all of our players. I've known Jace for a long time. We have a good relationship. It's always been open and honest. He was fine. The Val thing, it bubbled away, but it was between Val and myself. We were always pretty clear and around the expectation. If he wants to be a fullback, these are the things we've got to get right. So, and he was always about doing what's right for the team. So I get that there is so much rugby league content that has to be filled, and it was, I guess, an eye-opener for me in a lot of ways. And I'm new to the role and learning on the run, so I took some lessons out of it.
You must have been happy with Jason last night. Obviously, he came up with an error at a critical point, but then he makes up with it with the game on the line, and Val ices it with the field goal.
Yeah, look, I think Jace, that's just his third game for the season. yeah, he had a really big impact. He's our most influential player, and he showed that last night. Really stood up when the game counted. Val again has sort of come to me about a month ago and said he wanted to practice some field goals because he thinks he strikes them well enough. And I know it wasn't pretty in the end, but he got the ball and he got it over. So yeah, both those guys had some pretty big plays in our game, which is great.
For all the criticism you copped in that early period, Todd, do you feel some justification now, given last night, that the two players who you asked more of were the two who delivered the result?
Yeah, I haven't thought of it that way, Kenny. I just know our guys can give more, and I'm just want more out of them. So, there's a good feeling in the place at the moment. They're just working hard for each other. Everyone's enjoying coming to work every day, and they're trying to improve. So, I think the staff have done a really good job being consistent day after day, and got some really good help around me. And I've enjoyed coming to work as well. So that's 3/4 of the job there. So it's feeling good at the moment.
Last night in your press conference, we're talking about your big players, and Cole Phelps, one of them. As a winger, he just every month he comes up with a highlight. What about his first try? It's like go gadget arm coming around and scoring.
Yeah, I actually didn't get a good look at it until after the game. So I was writing some notes down. I was actually a bit pissed off in the box because I thought he muffed it by staying tall. And then Dean Young had to pull me and said, "Mate, he scored. Leave it alone." So we just got on with it. But yeah, it was a great try. I've seen it a couple of times this morning. You've done remarkably well.
Hey, Todd, you mentioned how much you're enjoying it, which is fantastic. Because if I got this right, my memory serves me correctly that you identified or you admitted on Fox League there that you had been offered the Warriors gig and knocked it back before you'd been given the Cowboys gig. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I turned the job down. There was a few reasons around that. Obviously, family was part of it, wanting to come back to Australia and all the uncertainty around the COVID stuff. So they hadn't had the interview process there at the Cowboys, and I had a few sleepless nights. I didn't know whether I'd done the right thing. Didn't know how it was going to play out, but in the end, we got a few wins at the Warriors and interviewed okay and ended up with the job. So, it's worked out well, and everyone's really happy and settled here. So it's great.
Yeah, that's what I call backing yourself in, old mate. But look, Magic Round this weekend, and if anybody can say they've had their squad ravaged by injury, it's the Roosters. But the Roosters won't go away. And you blokes have got the Roosters this weekend. How do you approach that game? When do you get to Brisbane? All that sort of thing.
Yep. So we kick off Saturday. So we're going to get down Friday. We were supposed to do our review and recovery today, but given it was Mother's Day, give the boys a day off, which they enjoyed that. We're going to have another day off tomorrow and roll back into training on the Tuesday and start our prep. But yeah, what a club. Ravaged by injury. And they just keep turning up and they keep working hard. And, I enjoy watching them play footy, that's for sure. We're going to have to improve again if we want to get the win.
Todd, we've been on this theme a little bit. We had Jaden Brayley on earlier, and we asked him a similar question. But we're talking about the mental strength in teams these days and how some teams have got it, some teams haven't got it. And we're sort of dovetailing that into the whole sports science argument, and the theory being that with all the GPS tracking, the sports science argument, that so much has been done then to sort of sit guys down just when it gets tough mentally. So they're not actually learning to be tough mentally, which is what we're seeing a lot of in the NRL with teams. They come off and they just go, "Oh, we just didn't turn up today," or we just had a bad 20 minutes and things like that. Do you think that? Do you believe it's real?
Oh, I think there's part truth to that, Kenny. Yeah. But the thing, with the Roosters, they've got so much experience and some senior players there that just drag the guys around them along with them, and I reckon that's where we've probably lacked a little bit. We don't have a big group of senior leaders and on-field leaders on the park, and that's probably a strength of the Roosters over the year, that they know how to get it done under duress, and those big guys stand up and the less experienced guys jump on the back of them. So it's a growth area for us. Definitely, we're in the market to try and get some leaders into the club, so that'll help us in that area.
Whereabouts are you looking there?
We're looking for an edge back rower and a middle forward.
And obviously someone with some experience there. You're not looking for youth. It's more just someone that's going to bring some leadership and experience.
Yeah, character and leadership. We need NRL ready players that'll have an immediate impact in the way that we train and the way that we play.
Hey, Toddy, talking about that, you moved Cohen Hess, who was on the edge, but he was coming off the back fence, and it seems to be suiting him playing in the middle. He's got some more minutes and seems to be running harder and winning the little battles. Like,
I think Cohen's been great through the middle. He's such an athlete, and playing in the middle, he doesn't have to make many decisions. He's just got to get the ball and he's got to run, and then he's got to make his tackles when they come his way. Playing on the edge, I don't believe that he knew how to save his energy in certain parts of his game. He would go balls out the whole time and then obviously fall off a cliff, and when you're fatigued and tired, he didn't make great decisions. So pushing in the middle has been good for him. I think he's enjoyed it. He can go all out for however long he lasts and then gets a break and does it again. So, he's been really good for us through the middle.
Hey, Toddy, like you played in an era where I think it was unlimited interchange, it was fast, there wasn't much wrestle in the game. It's got to be pretty similar to the game now, hasn't it? The speed of it, or do you reckon it's faster today than when you played?
Yeah, I don't know. I reckon it'd have to be faster, Gordy. The way that they're such athletes, the way that they train and the tackling they do at training, it's almost, that was like they'd almost play 2 games a week. Our big training day through the week is a fair bit of contact in that. They're running some high speeds, and they consistently train harder than what we ever did, and I reckon the game's faster.
Hey, Toddy, I think that's we'll let you go there, mate. We sincerely wish you all the best for the remainder of the season. We're glad you got the season back on track with the Cowboys, and no doubt we'll all see you at Magic Round.
No worries. Thanks for having me, guys.
Good on you, mate. Toddy Payton joining us on the Sunday Sin Bin. We'll get a score update for you in that Warriors game shortly. But I couldn't help but thinking, boys, while all that was going on, you just getting back to the boxing for a second, if he gets all that money for winning, I mean, what do you get just for losing? You'd
probably 15 or something.
No, you work your deal out before you go in. There's no winner's purse, loser's purse.
Right.
You just get a purse.
You just work.
So it's
you
a bit like you, mate. You get
deal.
paid whether you come in here and perform or not.
Yeah,
right.
And unlike you getting paid, it actually goes by how many people want to watch. Otherwise, you'd be licking the dates off the calendar.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I had several texts from people who you might associate with at Fox League who told me some story about, because we had the Casino Royale question, which you nearly jumped out of your skin to answer in our trivia. There is some question. Did you at some point meet Daniel Craig?
Yeah, I actually interviewed Daniel Craig, and it was for the Quantum of Solace movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was quite funny actually because he's a really nice guy. Anyway, we were sitting there having a chat, and there was another lady there who was also part of the interview, and we're talking about things and. He made his mark in the Casino Royale movie, and all the promotion was about him coming out of the water. Remember that image of him coming out, that scene, which just got milked to death. And this poor girl,
I think he had maroon speedos.
Yeah,
maroon budgie smugglers.
This poor girl who's interviewing him with me, she said to him, she said, "Is there some sort of like iconic scene in the movie like there was in the last movie when you're coming out of the water in those blonde speedos?" And he looked at her, and the minute he looked at her, she got all embarrassed and said, sorry, I meant blue speedos. And he said, is that a Freudian slip? She was mortified. Yeah. She didn't know. She wanted to crawl under the table.
Was he a tall guy?
Not overly tall, no.
What, shorter than you?
No. Look, he's tall like me, yeah. I'd put him at probably 5'10" or something. And the other thing is, as well muscled as he is, and obviously he's in great shape, he actually doesn't come across that big when he's just in a shirt and jacket and stuff. He doesn't look like, you don't look at him and think, oh, mate, this guy's put together. But obviously once he gets the...
No, because I think Joey was dating one of his girlfriends at some stage.
Oh, that's right.
And he was wearing his clothes. He goes, oh, half of them don't fit me.
Mate, Joey wouldn't get in his clothes.
No.
Joey's... Mate, Joey...
Especially not his shorts.
Joey wouldn't get a leg in... Joey wouldn't get a leg in his pants. Like, he's
tiny.
He's not tiny, but he just doesn't look big. Like, footballers always surprise you how big they are when you see it. When you see a football, you've only ever seen them on TV, and then you see him in real life. Even like Luke Brooks.
Yeah.
Like, Luke Brooks is tiny on the field, but he's actually a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like Nathan Cleary's 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
Like, he's
I
a
saw Tom
halfback.
Cruise one day, and he could fit on my keyring. I
Yeah,
felt like putting him in my top pocket.
He's tiny,
No, he is. Like
he's very small.
Yeah, they're
He's only about 5'4" or 5'5" or something. Tom Cruise.
I didn't know you blokes knew so much about actors. We're going to have a little segment here, Hollywood Goss with Kenty. All right, well, I'll tell you what we'll do now.
He's got a great story about when he interviewed Kevin Spacey one day.
Is that right?
I've spoken about that.
No, what's happened there?
Just before
I've spoken about it. Yeah, no.
Save it next week.
Just before we do the
Poor
Spacey
Kents.
one, Raymondo from La Perousa's just texted in.
Right.
He said, I spotted Maroon this week down at Little Kongwong in the leopard print thong coming out of the water like Daniel Craig.
Well, it wasn't me because I didn't have anything on. I always said,
well, you just got spots. You got a rash.
you're on fire today. You must have slept well.
Well, if you had nothing on, it was a rash. Like ringworms everywhere.
Paul, Kevin Spacey.
Oh, no, Kevin Spacey. Well, look, he's obviously now a certified odd fellow.
Yeah,
Kevin Spacey.
Nice way of putting
And that's how I'll put it. But I had to go to his hotel room one day to interview him, and it was for that 21 movie. And he had this little assistant kept coming in the room, make sure everything's okay, and all the rest. He had this dog. That just looked like it'd been made up of leftovers of other dogs. You know what I mean?
Possum.
I don't know what it was, but he loved it, and to the point
What sort of dog was it?
It was a mongrel-looking thing.
Was it a small dog?
Mate, its legs were about 3 inches long,
right?
And it was like they had the body of like a football, 2 footballs put together. You know what I mean? And it had these little 3-inch legs, and it was different colours, and had rotten teeth and bad breath and all this. And he loved it to death. He loved it to death. And to the point, though, before I went into the interview, I should have been pre-warned. Before I went in to see him, a couple of guys said to his assistant, has he brought whatever the name of the dog was? Has he brought the dog? And they said, oh, yeah, he's upstairs there too. So anyway, but this dog, oh, mate, it drove me mental. Like, I'm sitting there, and it's jumping on the lounge that I'm sitting on, and kept coming over and like trying to smell my hands and lick my hands, and I'm thinking, mate, like the normal person would
wanted to kick it.
say to the dog, mate, come on, get down, leave him alone. You know what I mean? But he just sat there and smiled at the dog and all this, and I'm trying to work, and this dog's just sitting there stinking all over me. I thought, I've got to do something here, so
you whacked him.
I didn't whack him. No, I didn't. I just sort of subtly gave him an elbow when I thought Kevin Spacey wasn't looking.
Yeah.
And anyway, the dog falls off the lounge, but he caught me, and the interview just went downhill from there.
A bit like something about Mary when the dog catches on fire.
Mate, it was just bad. It was just bad. And he just, after that, the answers got very short. And I thought, you know what? My time here is done.
All right, boys. We'll take a break. We'll try and get this thing back on track. Melbourne 50, Souths 0. Awful refereeing performance on Thursday night. We'll take a break. We'll come back and talk about that as Triple M rocks the footy.
The Triple M Sunday Sin Bin.
Now, this round of footy kicked off with Melbourne beating Souths by 50 points to 0. Well, part of history, if you were there. I was there. Josh Addo-Carr scored 6 tries, the first player since Jack Troy back in 1950 when Jack did it for Newtown. So just what a remarkable achievement in one game of football to score 6 tries, boys.
And Justin Olam was, and the good signs about that, Justin Olam was just as excited, and he set up a lot of the other tries. But the Fox, it reminds me a lot of Martin Alfier, that he doesn't need much space, and then he'll take a sideline that not too many people will. Like, they all want to cut back in, but he backs his speed, and he's very good at it. And What a moment.
It's awesome as well, Gordon, seeing the great characters in the game do well. And the Fox he's just one of those infectious people. He's got that great laugh. He's a quality team person. You wouldn't find anybody in the game of rugby league with a bad word to say about Josh Addo-Carr. So it was a hell of a night, Anthony. I can only imagine if you're out there amongst the South Sydney faithful, it would have been a very, very tough and long evening.
Oh, it was. It was just one of those days where I think you've got to, as a supporter, you've just got to
Were
say...
you out there watching?
I was, mate, yeah.
Or did you call it?
No, I was just there watching it. I was in the Churchill Club, yeah.
Function?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Official function? Or
Well, I just sort of
Folding?
No money from South. They're the love of my life. I just meandered between the Churchill Club and the Chairman's Club.
So why were you doing it for South but not Mascot Jets?
Well, because this is the thing, Paul. This is just just to get
they're
off.
very disappointed. Like I've done a couple of functions for them, and they're very disappointed that they've invited you along and you've asked for money and they've said no.
Yeah,
you've said no, and so they've had to.
Well, do you go to work for nothing?
Well, I do some things for nothing.
I do some things for nothing too.
I did their function a couple, 3 or 4 years, whatever it was, for nothing.
And I encourage you to do it for nothing again.
Right.
But I do enough things for nothing.
There's no charity in your heart whatsoever.
Yes, there is, but I can't do everybody's things. This is a business I run, Paul. I can't do it for nothing.
What
for
about
everyone.
goodwill? Do you have when you put your balance sheet together? Is there a little section there called goodwill?
Yeah. I've got.
It's pretty empty though, isn't it?
No, it's not. I do a lot of things for nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
You just said you don't do anything for anything.
I do things for nothing, but I don't need to go on record and tell you what those things are. All right. But
well, this South's event was for nothing.
This was for nothing. Yeah, that was a love job. Absolutely.
That's out of the goodness of the bottom of the heart.
To the game.
Pardon?
That's out of the goodness of the bottom of the heart.
Well, I don't know. Look, it's a good
from the
night
heart of your
out
bottom,
for me,
doesn't
but
it?
I do enough things for nothing. But this Mascot Jets nonsense.
Hang on, can we just check with South? Let's not refer to Mascot Jets as nonsense. They're a proud junior rugby league
of
club
course they are.
amongst the
Yes,
South
of course
Sydney
they
nursery.
are. Yeah.
So
They're one of those powerhouses.
A wonderful club. A wonderful club. Yeah.
But you've got no time for them.
Let's not start teeing off on Mascot Jets.
No, but if you want to do it for nothing, Paul, you should go ahead and do it for nothing.
He will. He has.
Okay.
I have been.
And listen,
Can
he
I just
doesn't
check,
need you to argue for him.
On Thursday night,
Yes.
can we just check? Did you stay for the entire game?
Of course I stayed for the entire game.
Okay, well, can we just go over this then? Because there's some audio.
Munster guides it through. No need to ball for the try power kick.
As Anthony Maroon leaves the stadium.
He's had enough.
He's had enough.
He's had enough. He's left.
Oh, come on, mate. You're supposed to be a fan.
A true fan.
A true fan doesn't leave at 20-0.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who's going to wear the rabbit suit in the second half, Maroon?
Come on, Reggie.
No, well, I was just going back to do my duties in the Chairman's Club and the Churchill Club. Okay?
But then you never came back to your seat.
Well, because the game was over.
What, at half time?
Mate, listen. Even if I did leave at half time, what's it got to do? I didn't leave at half time, but if I did, what's it got to do with you three?
Hey,
when
you
I
wanted
left?
to beat the traffic, didn't you? Tell us.
Mate, I was there
till
full time. Anyway, you want to see my parking ticket? You want to see my ticket?
I don't think
you wouldn't
MG
have it.
Girds and Dan Ganane would lie. They saw you get up out of the seat because you're
It's
sitting in
3
cheap
against
seats,
1.
and you get up and you left.
I went back to the Churchill Club to.
So you sat in an empty room instead of watching the game. Is that what you're telling me?
I went back and did a halftime thing, and I came back again. They are lying to you, Gordon. They're lying.
No, they're not lying to me. They told the audience.
Listen, don't worry about what I do, okay? Worry about what you do. Don't worry about what I do, okay? But let's clear this once and for all. No, I don't do functions for nothing because it's a business. Does the man that fixes transmissions fix transmissions for nothing?
Do you go to work? Occasionally you do.
Occasionally you do. Occasionally you do.
Yeah,
but
for
not
family
for
and neighbours.
somebody at Mascot Jets wants you to do it for nothing. You do it for nothing because I won't be. Now, can we talk about the game, Melbourne and South? Do you blokes have any idea that you're paid to come here and talk about rugby
here
league?
We go. I'll get serious. I think V'landys has to have a clear picture. South had, 4 players out?
Yeah, at least, yeah.
And they're a heavyweight?
They're all
hold
the
on,
big names.
Hold on. And
There's
hold
over
on,
4
hold on,
mil
mate.
worth
They're a
of
heavyweight.
talent. Yeah, they're a heavyweight, absolutely.
Get beaten by 50.
Yes.
So that shows how much talent we got in our game when we talk about expansion. So 3 or 4 players are going to go to the next franchise.
That's a great point.
Right? 3 or 4 players are going to go. You're not going to go get the bottom 3 players. You're going to go after the top
go
players.
after the big guns.
Absolutely.
Great point.
You have to go after the marquee players. So you take 1 or 2 out of clubs, look what happens.
Well, I wouldn't. Yeah, I hear where you come from, Gordon, but it's not just 1 or 2. Like it was Latrell Mitchell, Cameron Murray, Campbell Graham, Adam Reynolds, and there's more as well. There are others. Josh Mansour. Like there's at least nearly $5 million worth of talent there.
Well, that shows
I
what
hear
those
your
guys
argument.
are. Yeah,
I get
that
it.
shows that if they get Latrell and Adam Reynolds, say, what happens?
Yeah, well, that's a very good point you make there.
And they can afford them.
Yeah.
So like we're not talking about Greg Inglis, Cameron Smith, Billy.
Do you
Billy
not, you,
Slater.
so you don't want the 17th side?
I don't know. I just think that there's got to be. I mean, because I just don't want our product diluted where we go and call a game and we know that that side's got no chance of winning because I think we lose fans. Either way, you don't want to go watch someone get beaten by 50 and you don't want to go have your team get beaten by 50.
Even with all
a
of
close
South's-
contest. That's why State of Origin is the number one because it's a great contest. And we go to watch it because even if it was Queensland's worst ever side, they got up and they won.
I hear you loud and clear. But even with all the South superstars on the sideline, I don't think too many people were predicting that it was going to end up the way that it did.
But my point is if they go to the Dogs and get Burton and then they go to, the Titans and get Fafita and Tino and you go somewhere else and get that and that, what's going to happen? Because that's what's going to happen.
They can't pick the best player from every team.
No, but
because then they can't fit it in their cap.
No.
They can only take 3 or 4.
But we're getting off the point here, but let's just stay with this for a second.
Yeah.
And because this is a good point you raise. Firstly, Paul, this is probably a question bring you in on. If we have new teams by 2023, or a new team, which I now personally believe it's too soon because it's only 18 months away.
Well, no, they're ready to go. They've just got to know so they can get in the market.
How can you say they're ready to go? You're putting out a $20 million business. It's going to be competitive with.
Because they're not starting from scratch now. They've been preparing for years. They've just been waiting for the NRL to hit the go button, which the NRL's indicated they will. So they've got. Look, I know.
Maybe Redcliffe are ready to go.
I've spoken to someone at another club. I had quite a good talk with him on Friday, and they've got the point where they're actually looking at coaches. When they're going through the process now with coaches.
They've all got Wayne Bennett, all those three sides.
Wayne Bennett's committed to all 3 of them.
Right, yeah.
So that's the case, but they've also spoken to others. There's a theory there that they need a younger coach than Bennett, that they need other things around the coaching structure that Wayne may not be agreeable to.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot. All these conversations, they've got their grounds ready. They know where their juniors are coming from. It's all ready to go. They just need to get the go button off the NRL, which they're all going to do, and they're all going to present very soon.
This is one thing, like we get our money out of commercial, corporate boxes, fans, and television rights. Right? There's not going to be, and our main money comes from
mainly television rights.
That's our main.
80% of it's from TV.
Right, and we're not going to have another game. We're not going to sell them.
I get that.
So we're going to give them another shiny
get
toy.
that.
So we're going to give them a shiny toy. I don't know how many more eyeballs it's going to give the game. And how much money do we get?
Well,
for
it's preparation, Gordon, for growing the game. So then for the broadcast deal after this one, you then bring in another team, which will be an extra game. But it's small steps. You can't just go. Look, I was around when the game in 1994, I think it was, went to 20 teams, and they brought in the
Crushers and all that.
The Crushers and
Western Reds,
Crushers, Warriors, and Cowboys. Yeah. And that was a big leap, and there was certainly a change in the game. There was a talk then that the game didn't have the depth to go around. There's no doubt that the NRL has got to put more focus on junior pathways, junior development, and its country areas and all that. In the last broadcast deal, which was a massive upgrade on the previous one, John Grant and Todd Greenberg, for reasons I don't agree with, John Grant committed a lot of the money, $13 million a year, massive upgrade to the clubs where they were all covered by their salary cap and plus 30%.
We wanted to save his own bacon.
Of course
That's what he was doing.
Of course he did. And then Todd, who was at war with John Grant at the time, went out and made a deal with the players, got the players on side. John Grant was about to get Rissol from the commission, and the clubs were rallying to get rid of him, and they had the vote. And then what happened was once he offered them all the massive guarantee and the grant, then the clubs came around and backed off. And then out of that, the players then were offered a major upgrade in the salary cap. And I criticised the NRL at the time. I was accused of just hating the NRL, but the fact was they ran a bad business. We've now seen that since COVID came in and Volandis has come in and had a look over the books and just see how much money they wasted. The question I still ask the NRL, they've never asked. They came out and pumped their chest and said, ladies and gentlemen, we got the first $1 billion television deal, and we all cheered how good it was. 5 years later, no money in the bank, less crowd average, less. They had an increase in members, less sponsorships, no assets, not an asset to sell, and they couldn't get a $30 million loan from the bank. And I asked, where did the money go? Where did you spend that $1 billion? And they still won't give me an answer.
Yeah, well, sorry, Hoops, go.
Well, we've got a little bit off track, but it's all very relevant in terms of all matters pertinent to the game. South's Thursday night against the Storm, 50-0. No side has ever been able to recover from that sort of a hiding, Gordon, and come back and win the premiership. Yes, they are missing a lot of players, but can they be the side that breaks the record this year?
Yes, they can, because you know why? No other team that's been beat 50-0 has Adam Reynolds coming back into your side, Latrell Mitchell coming back into your side,
Cam
Murray coming back into your side,
Campbell Graham.
There you go. That's why they can still win it.
Okay, so we don't read too much into it, but congratulations to Josh Adokar.
I read a fair bit into it. There's some scar tissue there. Like you can't just get over a loss like that.
A lot of missed tackles.
Wayne's going to have to do some coaching now. Wayne was riding hands and heels a little bit there. They started so well. They were in such great shape, and you could see, having watched Wayne for 30 years coach. You could see he was very comfortable where he was, and all it was about getting them to the end of the year, fit and healthy and ready to go. And Wayne would have pulled the coaching clipboard out, 6 rounds left, and really started to put the coaching into them then. This is going to cause a little bit of scar tissue, and now he's going to have to start figuring out how to get their confidence back and how to make sure nothing like this happens again, because they won't recover from a second one. So he's going to have to do a bit of coaching, but that's all right. Like, he's the super coach, so he should be up to it.
Okay, 50-0 was the full-time score there. Right now we've got Warriors leading Manly 14-12 with 4 minutes till half-time. This is a very important game in the scheme of things, because the winner can sort of leapfrog a couple into the 8 out on their own on 10 points, depending on what happens with the Dragons game. But we covered about 14 different topics there. I don't know if we solved any. Only to say
what were you looking to solve?
The first things first.
Can South win the premiership? Yes, they can.
Right. And
what else you want to know?
You left the game early, so you're not a true fan?
Did not leave the game early. I do all the functions for Southeastern for nothing. One of my dearest, oldest friends is the president.
What's Southeastern?
That's a local team.
I heard
bigger than Mascot Jets.
I just got a text saying you're hiding in the toilets.
When?
The second half.
Mate, I wasn't. I don't. I'm a proud South supporter. I don't have to hide in the toilets, right? South have won 21 premierships, okay?
Yeah.
So it won't be long. I don't let it worry me, okay? We'll just be back next week. I'll be up there watching them.
How many of those premierships were in your lifetime?
Oh, well, I was born in 1966, so what's that, 5?
Okay.
Okay? How many of the West Tigers?
Can you remember?
How many 5. I can remember 5. I remember when I was 1 being there.
Yeah, can you?
Yeah, I was on my grandfather's shoulders. Yeah, he was on a milk crate.
Was Airsy there too?
Airsy was there too. My mum was there and Daphne was there. It was a great day up on the hill having a picnic. A couple of DA long necks.
Back to Redfern afterwards?
Back to the Grosvenor Hotel at Redfern. It was big. How many of West Tigers won?
They've won 1, Anthony.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Warriors 14, Manly 12 as Triple M rocks the footy. And right now it's time for this.
From the makers of The Earth is Flat and I'm only having one beer comes I Call BS.
Okay, boys, what do you want to call BS on today? It could be something rugby league related like we always say. It doesn't have to be rugby league related, but it's just an opportunity for you blokes to raise something and call BS on it. Who would like to go first in the I Call BS stable?
Yeah, I'll go first, Anthony. There's already been a lot written and said about this from Friday night, but the numpties in the bunker and how they missed the cheap shot from Dylan Brown on Drew Hutchison and the complete stitch-up that unfolded as a result in the aftermath. You can only shake your head at it. Like I said, there's already been a lot of forthright commentary made in relation to it, so we don't need to pick the wings off butterflies about it, but it just makes you shake your head how they managed to get it so far wrong.
Yeah, there's just no consistency in it, because I called the game last night for the M's with the Titans and the West side.
I don't even think it's consistency, Gordon. I think they are.
But they come in on
I
some.
think it's incompetent. I think they totally missed it.
Well, they come in on.
That's incompetence. That's not
like on some actions. They don't come in on it.
They must have been drinking the Kool-Aid.
So the captain's challenge is there for the captain to challenge. So last night in the game, James Tarmo knocks the ball out of a feeder. Fogarty, the captain, is there, not another player, says, I challenge it, and the referee goes, no, you didn't do it quick enough.
Yeah.
He's there right at that time. So that means that the captain's challenge has got brought into the game so he can challenge that decision. He goes, no, it was too late. It was right there and then. There was no seconds. It would have been within 3 seconds. So I don't know what the officials are doing, but that's not even mine. BS.
No, but you did well. He got in a dummy half and passed it to you.
Yeah, that's right.
What's your BS, Gordy?
Mine is the players, the coaches, everybody talking about the speed of the game and the fatigue. Isn't it 5 extra minutes? Is that it? There's 5 extra minutes in the game.
On average, are you talking?
And we're crying out fatigue?
Yeah.
Come on, right? With the sports scientists and everything that we do, right?
So what do you say to the
I watch
argument?
front rowers. I watch players get replaced and run off faster than what their last hit-up was. No, they do, mate. They get replaced and they run off, right? And now they're whinging about fatigue and all this kind of rubbish. That's what the game's about. You are supposed to get tired. That's what rugby league's about. It's supposed to be fatigue. It's supposed to be pushing through the pain barrier. It's supposed to be all those things that you want in sport and, people toughen it out and sides winning. And that's what you wanted as a player is when you'd win against the odds and your chips are down. That's when it's the best. That's what you want.
So where do you sit then, Gordy, with this increasingly trendy argument that the speed of the game
We're giving them
and
a
the
way
collisions is what is leading to all
because
the
there's
injuries?
poor technique, because we have to stand chest on chest to stop the ball. That's why the head knocks are. James Tedesco, all these head knocks, he's going to have to change when he passes because he actually tries to slide and he lowers his body technique.
Yeah.
The blokes that tackle him are hitting him in the head. Don't get me wrong. And they're going to get 4 to 6 weeks, right? And there might be 4 of them. But James Tedesco is going to get knocked out 4 or 5 times before the end of the year, because when he goes and he slides in the back line and he drops his knees and he tries to stop to get the pass away. So I know that you're not allowed to hit someone in the head, but he is travelling that fast. He attracts you, and then you can't bend down to get to his size. So you know what you're going to do? You're going to hit him in the head. So James Tedesco
You're also not expecting it that late in the run.
And you're not expecting that run. So then what he does is he drops to his knees because he's trying to brace himself for the collision.
Yeah.
So there's some of these accidents that you can't get out of the game, and there's some of the injuries. And I think the players with the technique in defence are contributing to it. And James Tedesco, he actually has to change when he passes. Like he really does, because his career might be on the line if he keeps on getting hit in the head. So how many concussions can you have before the game steps in and says...
Well, and the Roosters they just are the nucleus of the whole concussion thing, aren't they? Paul, would you like to call BS on something?
Yeah, Anthony, I just want to call BS. Look, all afternoon we've heard about yourself.
Oh, really? You're going to call BS on me,
Yeah,
right?
I am, Anthony.
Hang on. I'm going to call BS on you guys, because every week I've got to come in here and justify how I make a living. Like,
well, that's what.
And why don't I do it for nothing?
and that's my point. That's my point, Anthony, because you tell us how you do all this love for South Sydney and how the other night you stayed there after half time.
I did.
Because
I stayed there till full time, like I always do.
And just then off air, you said to us, I was working on a little something extra.
And I had to wait down because a bit of
there was a trap there, and you blokes came straight into it. What sort of an earn would you get at the end of a game? It was a trap, and you fell into it.
You were stuck there.
Let me tell you something.
You said to me, I was stuck there talking to these pelicans.
I didn't say that.
You did.
No, I did not say that.
Yes, you did.
Can I ask?
If you were just making up as a trap, why are you concerned about insulting them?
No, I just knew that it was a trap, mate. It was a trap. And once again, he makes a comment. Hoops, you jump on the back of him. Paul's got chicken twisties. You want chicken
While we're on this
twisties.
subject, Anthony, from Little Bay,
Oh, here we go.
Matt from Collaroy has been in touch.
Right.
Anthony, unfortunately, Uncle Pat isn't recovering from that hairline fracture of the jaw as quickly as first thought, so he won't be able to attend the mediation meeting tomorrow.
Right, okay.
Yours in trivia.
Well, I hope Uncle Pat's okay. And I hope he forgives me. But look,
Jeez, you must have got hold of him.
I did. I pushed him down a couple of stairs, and he actually his Zimmer frame went one way and he went the other. But
Where did the oxygen tank go?
I shouldn't have to come in here every week and justify how
You don't have to.
Just when I'm not here, I run a company that goes to events. Right, I get paid to do that. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing I should be doing for nothing, all right? If you want me to do work for nothing, you work for nothing, and we'll all work for nothing.
We all love rocket industries.
There's no problem. The problem is I get here and I got to explain myself.
No, the discrepancies. You tell us that you shouldn't have to do it for nothing. You should be paid, but you tell the tax department you are doing it for nothing.
No, I don't. Oh, it's all in order, mate. It's all in order. Everything's in order. Everything's in order.
The issue. That's why we're concerned for you, because if anyone from the tax department is listening...
It's all in order. It's all in order. It's all in order, mate.
It's got to be like finding Packers lost petty cash tin.
Mate, isn't it time for you to go? Anyway, where's Benji Marshall, anyway?
I'm not happy I started early.
Yeah, I know. I tell you what, you've been in good form today, Gordy. You should go too. Where's Benji Marshall?
He's not in today.
No, Benji,
He's in
because of the
bubble.
COVID bubble, Benji's not available.
That's why you've been so
come
brave
in
talking
today.
about him off air.
Good.
Yeah, you've been bagging his defence all day.
You said
On the other night.
Yeah.
Bagging his defence all day. As a South Sydney tragic.
I haven't. No, well,
Because
look.
you knew he wasn't coming in.
Well, why isn't he coming in?
Because he's in the bubble.
He's in the bubble.
Well, couldn't we get him a landline at home? I think he's just a bludger. He ducks and weaves. I think he's a bludger.
He's not here, so
I think
you'll
he's
start
like
to put the slipper
he's
in.
like
Maybe he's good when the going's good. Is that right?
No, he's like you three palookas. This is what goes on here, everybody. Like all these three, all the stars, Wendell and Ryan Girdler and these three, they just, if they don't want to come into work, seriously, they just don't come. They just tell the boss, oh, I've got to go to a Legends Day, or it's me mum's birthday, or
Anthony, whenever Bart Cummings
who'd he play for?
Whenever Bart Cummings freshened up his horse for the Melbourne Cup, everyone called him a genius. Right. Some horses need to be freshened. Some are unfortunately draft horses like yourself. And you're like those poor horses that go around Central Park in New York, just
no matter what kind of weather, they just keep on going off. You go,
yes, doesn't matter, mate.
Give
Like
him an
they're
old
just
chaff
there
bag.
every day, turning up the work. Just going through the drudgery of it.
Yeah, give him
Here
a
I
chaff
am.
bag.
Not really giving anything special, but really not. Yeah, still there anyway.
Yeah.
Mate, love you for your diligence. Just every now and then, mate, give yourself a break, have a breather, and really sharpen up over the weekend.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying, mate. I should be
Do
more
that?
like you blokes, huh?
No, could you do that? Just take like a month off and give us a break.
Oh, I couldn't because it'd be all sorts of. Matt, look at this joint. Look at you three when I had one day off. You didn't know if you're Arthur or Martha. How would you go if I wanted to leave this show? They begged me to stay. They begged me.
Who?
But the powers that be, the
What's his
overpaid
name?
suits upstairs. Oh, Les, I don't know their name. I don't know who they are.
Oh, Les.
We're going to take a break. We'll come back and we'll say goodbye to Paul Kent. At half time, it's the Warriors leading Manly 20-12 as Triple M rocks the footy.
The Triple M Sunday Sin Bin.
Before we do, I hope everybody's having a wonderful Mother's Day. Maybe you're having a Mother's Day barbecue or lunch wherever you are around New South Wales and Queensland, and giving your mum some treats, some gifts, and making sure you tell her you love her. Your wife too. Breakfast in bed. We have no kids at home; they've grown up and gone. So I just gave Christine a kiss and a cuddle this morning, and a few little gifts. And happy days. But Mother's Day, hope you're enjoying it right around New South Wales and Queensland.
Is there a price bracket on, like, when you're given a gift? Do you put a price on things?
Well, yeah.
Not on Mother's Day.
It's about 25% of what he earned the night before.
No, I try and go a bit low level because, I mean, at the end of the day, Christine, as much as I love her, she's not my mother, with due respect.
Oh, gotcha. Wow.
Is that what I'm saying?
Really?
Oh,
You-
okay,
no,
so
no,
like
not
that.
on Mother's Day.
So then do you give money
Don't
for
go
your
there.
kids to buy?
Mate, how does she put up with that?
No.
Don't go there.
Couldn't-
I know you're only
God,
joking
mate,
when you say
listen.
that.
No.
Come
Well,
on.
Now, you...
Mate,
now-
seriously.
Well, hang on.
There's a bit of truth behind every joke.
Oh, that's what...
No. Well, she actually just bought it. If I be completely honest, she bought herself a gift and gave me the bill.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So that's...
That's fair enough.
yeah.
She's always been a practical woman.
She has, but she got some good value up there at Hot Dollar at East Gardens. There, she got some good. Yeah. No, okay. Now before you go,
some nice new perfume.
Oh, you can get some car fresheners and you can get Mentos and you can get.
Mate, you could have given her that chain warm cologne. SW, so it's Sarah.
Is it good?
Just say it's Sarah Warner.
Right.
It's a new one.
I could just go and tip it into a more expensive bottle, couldn't I? Now, boys, before you go, Paul, Xavier Coates has signed a 2-year deal to go to the Melbourne Storm, and I suppose for the Broncos it might feel a little bit like one step forward and 2 steps back.
Well, that's what it is at the moment. They don't have the drawing power they've always had, the Bronx, and they're losing a lot of quality players these days. They're just going to have to wear it. It's a long haul to turn it round. There's a few problems there in their recruitment and retention section of the company. I know that of the club. I know that Dave Donaghy's now got his boots on the ground there, and I think that's one of the first areas he's really going to attack is to make sure they get it right there, because the Broncos are getting it wrong more often than they're getting it right these days.
I wonder, though, Hoops, for a young player like Xavier Coates, he says, well, I go down, I'm in that Melbourne system now, which it just doesn't fall at any hurdle. Now, it's got none of the big three left, but we find Harry Grant and we find Jerome Hughes has reinvented himself as a rugby league player.
Ryan Pappenhausen, you can add him in as well. He shot himself out of a cannon the last 18 months, Clive Churchill medalist. So, yeah, look, from Xavier Coates' point of view, I can understand why he's made that decision. It's sad because when Gordon played, the Broncos were the flagship club. That was the place that if they came and approached you and gave you an opportunity to join that club, you just said, where do I sign?
Yeah.
And you went there. Now things have changed. It's not Kevy Walder's fault. It's a series of bad decisions by the people of power and influence at the club. But I can understand why Xavier Coates would want to go and play under Craig Bellamy.
Josh Adokar just scored 6 tries. But if you're a winger and you're in that system, you'd be thinking, okay, well, that's going to be me next year.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be because Adokar's gone. But the other thing is, I think success is cyclical, and the fact is, I don't think that there's a divine right that the Broncos should always be successful.
Yeah.
I think they've had a lot of advantages at their club that a lot of other clubs haven't had in the NRL, and they always did their best to make the most of those advantages. Now, through some really dumb thinking, they've surrendered a lot of those advantages, and I think there's no one to blame but themselves.
Well, to that point, there's a lot of players and other people involved in the game who are quietly sitting back going, well, it's your turn. They've had a lot of success.
100%.
They've won so many premierships.
Well, they've been a finals team pretty much
their entire tenure.
Well, they went, I think it was about 90...
They missed early.
92.
I think 89.
88, 89 they missed, and then from 90 onwards, I think they made they made the semis nearly every year, except for maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah.
There was 1 or 2 when Wayne initially left. I seem to remember that.
Yeah,
They had him under Ivan Anzac.
But they've been there so often.
Yeah,
and
they probably missed 4 out of
Broncos
20-something.
fans are just accustomed to success. The fact is, success goes in circles. It's been a strong run by Melbourne the last 10, 15 years. Their turn will come. They'll start to go down.
And everything used to be able to stay in-house there. We offered Craig Wing. I remember going having like a big lunch, and when Wayne would ask you to go get players. So Justin Hodges left. So we were losing players. Joey, Brett Camorley, Craig Wing, we targeted some big names, and it would have been more. And a lot of people knocked us back, but no one heard about it. The club was stronger because the players back then didn't want to be shopped around. It wasn't the manager, it was just a player coming to meet the other players, and we saying, hey, mate, I'd love to play with you.
And no one talked out of school.
And no one spoke out of school.
Isn't it interesting, though, we talk about, NRL coaches who inherit out-of-shape salary cap rosters. We talk about what's going on with Madge or Trent Barrett even, or Kevy Walters now. The other side of the coin, though, when Craig Bellamy does finally walk away from being the head coach at the Melbourne Storm, imagine whoever that is, the pressure that person's going to be under.
Yeah, well, all the mail is that Jason Riles will most likely be the person who does take over in the main seat after Craig Bellamy. But yeah, it's similar to when Wayne leaves a club. It's like trying to follow Bradman into bat. It's a bloody hard assignment, but you're going to have a great roster.
But you'd rather. So I'll tell you now, if I'm an assistant coach and I'm getting a job as the head coach, I'd rather walk into Melbourne than Canterbury.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
because it's ready made for you. Like you're going to
purpose built.
It's ready to go. It's ready to win. So I don't have too much sympathy for whoever walks in there. Like they're going to walk into
a great joint,
a great place that's at the top of their game.
The culture will be high. The standards that they set there, the bar won't drop unless you let it drop.
Well, and the roster's quality right throughout.
Well, Paul, if you don't mind, could you now leave? Because we would like to commence happy hour here at Triple M.
The Triple M Sunday Sin Bin.
To it, the final hour of our show at the footy right now. Warriors 20, Manly 16, 9 gone. Second half, Warriors 20, Manly 16. That score is thanks to Tyre Power. Gordon Tallis. So too we have James Triceps Hooper and Maroon. Benji Marshall was supposed to join us, but he's in COVID lockdown. He's like the bubble boy off Seinfeld. He can't get here today.
What does the fox say?
Okay, now this is when James Triceps Hooper actually has to do something. Some stuff that he's
take that back. Anthony.
Well, no, I won't.
We're
I won't
always
take that.
working, my friend. You know that.
Well, you do work pretty hard at Fox League. You know,
rugby league's a 24/7 game these days,
and you're the 24/7 go-to guy.
366 days of the year in Olympic year.
I was going to give some feedback on the Fox League feedback line.
Yes, well, you often feature on that.
Yeah,
on NRL 360, on Ask Kenty and those sorts of segments.
Mm-hmm.
They even had a picture of you up there one day.
Yeah, it's often a surprise to me that I'm sitting there eating my steamed dim sims or something, and the next thing I've asked a question. I think, well, I didn't know I'd asked that. But anyway, I'm starting to wonder who has got the shiniest head. You've got a massively shiny head. I've got to turn the tone down on my TV. Then Gordy pops up. He's as shinier than yours.
I think I might be shinier than Gordy.
How do you get your head that shiny?
Neck. Well, it's not by design. You certainly don't sit at home and buff it with a towel or whatever else. Some of the other things that you've got in your kit bag at home. It's not that sort of arrangement. It's just what happens when you put lights on. It looks like a UFO landing pad a lot of the time.
Yeah, I just wondered. I thought maybe the makeup people just go, where's the polish for your head?
No, they try. They actually put something called anti-shine. They try and unshine it. Yeah, but it obviously it's a work in progress, and it's a constant challenge.
Well, my friend.
As Manly go over, Anthony, 20-16 to the Warriors, but the Eagles have just crashed over, and it looks as though this could be 20-all kick to come.
Anyway, look, leave that there. You got a very shiny head, and I'm proud of you. What's going on in rugby league?
Mate. You've got a tennis ball head, and you are our very own version of Billie Jean King.
Well, I said something nice about you, and you threw that back at me. If you want to be like that, maybe you could tell everybody at Fox League to find a sports jacket that actually fits you when you get there tonight. Now, Melbourne Storm had good news with the signing of Xavier Coates.
They did, yes.
And more good news?
Yeah, I think there'll be further good news in the coming weeks for the Melbourne Storm. So the Craig Bellamy situation is obviously still the elephant in the room that is unresolved. But all of the smart money suggesting that Craig Bellamy will be at the Melbourne Storm next year. He'll stay on as the head coach for another one season, and then in all likelihood he'll move into a coaching director style of role.
Yeah, he won't leave what he built. He's built an amazing club that has been the pinnacle of our game and everybody's chaser, and copied them in some sort of way.
And they've had a lot of. It's been pressure tested plenty of times.
Oh,
you know, like they've had to wear some scars along the way, but they've always found a way to rebuild, regenerate, and no question they're a flagship organisation. But further to Craig, Gordy, I think Ryan Pappenhausen will also agree to a long-term contract with the club. He's signed for next year anyway, but obviously they see him as the ideal replacement, the new Billy Slater. I think he'll sign a long-term deal with the Melbourne Storm, and also they'll further extend young Harry Grant, who, once again, how good is he? Seriously, on that game against the Bunnies, he just, for a player who only he'd be well under 50 NRL games in terms of his top-line experience, but he's already played State of Origin. Gee, he's got some development and some evolution in the way that he plays the game. He's a fantastic player. He's going to be a gun for many, many years to come. I think we'll see the Melbourne Storm also extend Harry out as well. And then they've got the foundations there because they already got Jerome Hughes' signature earlier in the season. Xavier Coates announced today that he will be going there next year. And then they re-signed these other gun players on top of that.
I think that was no try to Hoops, Warriors 20, Manly 16, no try, 20 minutes left in the game. Now, what about some good news? Tell me what I want to hear. Adam Reynolds is not leaving Souths.
There's a theory around about that. Been a theory around for about the last couple of weeks that Adam might be leaning more towards staying. The reason that I will say no to that is because the Bunnies are still refusing to budge on that 12-month offer. They want to just do 12 months and then they'll assess him year upon year. So that being the situation, I would think that the money that's on offer from the Cronulla Sharks, or conversely the Brisbane Broncos, who are still very much in the picture, I think in all likelihood he'll end up going to Cronulla. I know he's been in regular contact with their incoming coach, Craig Fitzgibbon. He's met with him, and I believe that Adam Reynolds will most likely be at the Cronulla Sharks next season. But the Broncos have obviously rolled out the red carpet. Kevy was down here last Sunday. The new CEO, Dave Donaghy, was here as well. They are trying to very much convince him to come to Red Hill, be the captain, and help them rebuild.
Is there a train of thought that perhaps Adam, who's looking for a 4-year deal, goes to the Broncos, and with that, because maybe Wayne Bennett's heading back there in some sort of coaching director role?
There's a train of thought that he's asked the Broncos for a 4-year deal. As it sits at the moment, I think they're only prepared to go to 3. In relation to Wayne, I can't see Wayne landing back at Red Hill. This story was gathering quite a bit of momentum earlier in the year, January and February and March, that Wayne could somehow orchestrate a return to Red Hill. But I think there's too much ill feeling between he and some of the other bigger power brokers at the club. I don't think any of them have picked the phone up and had a conversation. But I do know Kevy is speaking to Wayne on a regular basis, and he does bounce ideas off him in terms of what the Broncos are in need of and how he can try and fix the joint as quick as possible.
Gordy, what do you think about that with the Wayne Bennett? Is he any chance of making another return to the Broncos?
It's typical Wayne. He's linked to every club, isn't he? He'd be working overtime, ringing every club, saying that I'll do, and that's what he does. And then he'll get himself in the picture somewhere, and then decide on whichever offer's better for him. And it's normally the biggest money. And that's the fact.
Like we touched on earlier, there's 3 Queensland sides bidding to be the 17th
and he would have told them all that he's going to coach them. And then
Brisbane Jets, Brisbane Firehawks, right? And then you got Redcliffe Dolphins as well.
Yeah.
And the theory is that, whichever one ends up getting the green light, Wayne will be the coach appointed.
And he might have made a call to the Raiders and the Tigers and then the Knights. And
this is my point I was trying to make before, boys, with all these new consortium in Brisbane. We don't even know what consortium's got it yet. It's already June 2021. There is no way they are going to be right to go at the start of 2023.
Well, Kenny said that they've been given a warning. I just, I'm up in Queensland, and I'm not about not ever expanding our game, because I was a 15-year-old when the Broncos come in, and that was a pathway, that was a dream, and that was a team that I could follow. And then in 95, the Cowboys come in, and look what Matty Bowen and Thurston and the statues, and look at that great stadium last night. So about expanding our game, I'm all for it, right? And Newcastle for the Johns, but where it goes to and how does it affect, that's what I want to know. Like, we can't go and eat another club and, just imagine putting another team in Sydney and saying, oh, mate, let's put it out there.
You couldn't do it in Sydney. You couldn't do it in Sydney, Gordon, because the theory is we've already got too many clubs here as it is. But in Brisbane, you got the Gold Coast, you got the Broncos, and then it's a hell of a long way up to where you're from.
Yep, up in North Queensland.
And so the theory is that there is room for another side.
Yeah, see, but then it would probably be eating our own. Where if you went to Perth or went to New Zealand, North Island, South Island, I see more of a benefit there. But there's smarter men than me making this decision, and women.
I think in relation to the New Zealand second side, that would potentially be the 18th side. Right. And as Anthony points to the screen, yes, Anthony, Jason Saab scored a try on the right wing for Manly. Surprise, surprise, Tommy Turbo set it up and put him over. And then Ruben Garrick nailed the sideline conversion. Sea Eagles in front, 22-20, with 25 minutes remaining second half.
Well said, and those scores are all thanks to our friends at Tyre Power. Go and see them. They will help you out like they did me yesterday. Tyre Power's big freeze sale is on now. Get the power of Australia's biggest independent tyre network as Triple M rocks the footy.
This is
Maroon Confidential.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, the sources are coming far and wide. Everything's got to go past Lee Hadjipantelis of Bryden's before it can go to air, because the things I'm hearing about rugby league players and coaches and rugby league coaches, rugby league identities holding planes up during COVID, it's just never ending. But what I did spot personally about this time last Sunday was our man Gordy Tallis on one of those electric push bikes driving down Caxton Street past the Caxton Hotel, to which they all one noticed it was Gordy, and then the street went up as one. Hey, Gordy, didn't they? And Gordy chucked his big mitt out, and tell you what, mate, that's a sight. Is that legal, you riding down Caxton Street on that bike?
Yeah, it's just an electric scooter.
Mm-hmm. There was also a spot.
It's like one of those Lime scooter things.
But you own that one.
Yes.
Look, I don't want to cause you any grief, but I've also got a spotted here that you were at the corner of Caxton and Percival Street where the lights went red and you jumped the gutter and just went across the footpath and didn't wait at the lights.
No, because you can go across footpath. That's what the scooters are for, footpath, to stay off the road, to let traffic, to ease traffic congestion.
And is it a bike or a scooter?
A scooter. You know, like electric scooter.
But he sits on it,
there's
don't you, mate?
Mate, like there's no pedals. You think I like exercise?
Yeah, but he sits on it. It's not like
Sit on it.
Yeah, it's more of a bike.
Yeah.
Anyway, but mate, I mean, what do you weigh?
This is supposed to be confidential. It's supposed to be
I know,
shh.
but I think
It's supposed to be
shh. I think it's an
They're not supposed
issue.
to
He's
know.
got the blowtorch and the pliers out.
Yeah, well, but it's how much do you weigh, Gordon?
A bit over 100.
110 plus
Right.
a bit of GST.
Okay, say 110 kilos on a motorised bike driving along the footpath outside the Paddington Hotel in Brisbane. If he runs over an old lady, God help her.
I got brakes.
And your auntie would be your uncle if she's had a set of
of course
cones
it
too
would.
back.
Of course it would.
Look at
Of course
you, you
it
party
would.
Look at
pooper.
you.
You know what? You got
Ifs and
jealous
buts,
because I don't have to
chips
fill
and
it up full
nuts.
of petrol, right? And I use Triple M's power to power it
Yeah.
up. So you just thought, this guy's getting away without paying any money. That's what
mate,
you were.
I was thinking about running you over when I saw you there. What's this one all about? Triple M's Alvin Purple coming out of the Sackville Hotel with several friends and a bottle of cheap champagne on his way home before calling into the 7-Eleven on Victoria Road for some Cadbury favourites for his mum for Mother's Day. First of all, who is Triple M's Alvin Purple? Is it our man Kenty?
According to you, it is.
Yes.
This is your
Well, and
segment.
who are these several friends he had?
Well, I wasn't there.
Yeah,
Anthony,
well, I
so
see, you know,
I can't confirm or
and,
deny
and
anything.
also a man on the type of cabbage Paul's
Well,
on,
yes.
and he's buying his mother Cadbury favourites from the 7-Eleven on Victoria
Well,
Road.
there was a mention of a cheap bottle of bubbly. How
Yeah,
do you
but
know
I-
it was cheap?
Well, somebody said
Might
he
have been
got
the
it out
good
of
stuff.
the bin in the middle. You know, the bin on 2 for $5 bin. Anyway, each to his own on that one. Also, this is the interesting one here. Our very own Matt from Collaroy, who we love very much, would be interesting to hear this one. Spotted the beautiful Trish Johns checking the oil. Spotted Trish Johns checking the oil on a Winnebago at the BP at Collaroy. What's that all about?
Hang on, what's a Winnebago?
One of those.
Isn't it a Winnebago?
Yeah, Winnebago, like one of those
The
things.
motorhomes.
Yeah, motorhomes. Yeah, Winnebago. You call it.
Yeah, well, I think there's reports Matt from Collaroy is headed up to Magic Round,
Right.
and because he's had a little bit of a crook Gary Jack, and he's got to go in and
Oh,
I think
that's
he's
right,
in for some surgery in the upcoming week.
Mm.
He's got to go up in the Winnebago, as you call it.
Yeah, Winnebago.
So
what?
And I think Trish is driving.
What? And he's going to lie down in the back of
Oh,
the.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, because you
No,
can't
you'll-
sit for too long. So, like, if you get surgery, you'd have to be laying flat on your back, you
Right.
would think.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
put too much pressure on the joint when you sit.
Is he going? He's not going to go for compo or anything, is he? Over there at Fox, or because I don't want
No,
him to end
he's-
up on
he's-
like
no,
one.
he's not like you, Anthony.
Right, I don't
His
want to
mind
see
doesn't
him
work like that.
You know, he'll be one of those things where he puts in a compo, and then next minute he's on one of those, you know, current affairs shows, you know, moving things around the backyard. We don't want to see that. Anyway, that is.
You are, God. Mate, you run out of buses really quick. Every day you run out of buses. How many people you throw?
Oh, look, I get thrown under the bus about 5 times every Sunday. Triple M rocks the footy.
The Triple M Sunday Sin Bin.
And welcome back to it. Well, this game at Brookie, Manly are running away with it now. Manly 36, Warriors 20. And I think Jason Saab scored a hat-trick of tries this second half, I believe.
On fire, Anthony. Yeah, I think he has made it a treble. And Tommy Turbo been all over this inspirational comeback as well. And what a player he is in terms of an influence on a side. And while we're on individual influences on a side, Gordon, last night as well, Tino being back for the Gold Coast.
He's enormous.
Yeah, huge.
He just does. Yeah, he just sets a standard. Yeah, and that's what we were talking about before for like a young guy. And, I thought, Jared Wallace has been playing well. I thought everybody did their job, to go to Campbelltown and play on on Tommy's day.
Yep.
And come away with a victory. And I know they started well, but you had to be there mentally, to beat West.
It's amazing, with the Titans, can't they score a beautiful try?
Yeah, they throw the ball around.
Yeah.
I think they've got their attack spot on, and then and it's a high energy attack, but just defensively, just defending your mistakes. I suppose, when you throw the ball around that much, it might take a little bit more out of you than doing the one-up footy and kick into a corner because there's less people involved playing that style of footy. But, they're still learning both sides of the footy, but it was a good victory.
Okay, now the live ladder at the moment, Panthers 18, Parramatta 16, Storm Rabbitohs 14, then Roosters 12. That's the top 5. There's a gap then to 8, but the Dragons play at 4 o'clock. They're on 8. Titans are on 8. Warriors are on 8. Manly are now on 8. So too are the Knights and the Cowboys. But the point I'm trying to make here, Manly, who had a horrid start to the season and now in equal 8th position with the Warriors. So go Manly. It's time for this.
Raging Bull.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I wanted to bring this back because I got a call from Gavin and the team at Apricity Finance. Said, who's looking after your finances? I said, why do you ask? And they said, well, we're all over Big Gordy like stink on a monkey. We love the big fella, and we're going to sponsor his segment.
Because it's got to be about invoices, Anthony. That's why you wouldn't like it.
Okay.
So what we do is we pay your invoices for you. We help you with your invoices, up to 95% of it, mate.
Okay, well, that's beautiful. That's
at Apricity.
Yeah, okay, so they're going to come on board and sponsor this little segment.
Yeah, so let's hope that it becomes successful and it stays.
I always
for our mates, and his name's Lyndon. Lyndon and Tony.
Yeah, Lyndon up's up there, Gav's down here. But I was wondering why when I walked into the Caxton, you're wearing a cap that said Apricity. I thought, where did you get that from? And now it all makes sense.
Are you disappointed that you didn't get an earn?
No, I'm happy for you.
Listen, what I'll do is I'll introduce you to the boys at Apricity, and we can.
Only if you think I can get an earn out of it, I'm not going to knock it back. But I wasn't angling that way.
No.
Okay.
Because you weren't.
What are you raging about, Raging Bull?
Well,
thanks to Apricity.
Do you know what I just think with all the shoulder charges that are going around at the moment, I want to know what's. The old-fashioned shoulder charge was when Greg Inglis hit Dean Young, right? And that's horrible to see.
Yeah.
And it's a tackle gone wrong. It was a low-percentage tackle. I remember when it first came out and they were going to ban it, I just had there were 17,000 tackles. Only like 300 of them were shoulder charge. So it's a low percentage, low tackle of the game, so they banned it. But now there seems to be more of it now coming out to a point where I always thought that your shoulder had to be tucked beside your body, bit like the Sonny Bill Williams, that great shot on Joel Clinton. That was an old-fashioned shoulder charge. Greg Inglis on Dean Young, an old-fashioned shoulder charge. I don't think that there's any room for that in the game, especially when it goes wrong. And if it goes wrong, well, you get your 6 or 8 weeks on the sideline. But at the SCG on Anzac Day, I saw Ravalawa, shoulder charge, bend his back, front on, hit Morris in the belly, and he gets charged with a shoulder charge. I don't care how you hit someone. If you hit them in the belly, how can it be a shoulder charge? Seriously. So that's my point. And if you bend your back and you're leaning forward and your shoulders there and your arms not wrapping, and you can hit someone so hard that they fall over and you don't have time to wrap your arms, that's not a shoulder charge.
Yeah.
That's an old-fashioned good shoulder check. So that's the thing that I'm worried about is what is a shoulder charge? And just because you hit someone with your shoulder, which you're supposed to be tackling with your shoulders, because we haven't seen it in the last 10 years because it's all been chest on chest, let's dance, let's do the waltz. An old-fashioned tackle now looks it looks dramatic when it's an old-fashioned tackle. When you come in and you hit around the chest or you hit around the sponsor with your shoulders, and I don't want that tackle to be out of the game.
Well, the way they used to always explain the shoulder charge was, and they'd call it the schooner rule, Gordon, that when you tuck your arm in, if you can tuck a schooner in under your arm and hold it in there next to your body.
And that's what we used to get told.
That's a shoulder charge, right?
Yes.
If you can hold, but if you're trying to hold bourbons in both hands, well, and you're trying to make some sort of wrapping, well, that's okay. You can play cricket with that.
So it's the old schooner and bourbon rule.
The schooner and bourbon rule. Gordon makes a very fair point. There were a lot of people asking questions about that particular shot because it was an unusual style of shoulder charge.
Yeah.
That's what they called it.
Yeah, I would just like Graham Annesley or someone at the NRL, so the commentator, so we don't keep on, as soon as someone makes a big hit going, oh, well, he's got time off because we're all professionals now, and then as soon as someone gets hit, everybody that's working at Fox Sports or Channel 9 saying that, that's 3 weeks on the sideline. We're not the judiciary, so for one, we got to stay out of it, but we got to know what the rules are, and we just got to talk about the game.
Okay, that's a great Raging Bull. Great to have it back too, thanks to Apricity. They'll be joining us next week officially.
Flexible invoice finance facility.
Flexible invoice finance facility.
Pretty much right up your alley.
Absolutely beautiful. I've got to get in touch with Gavin the boys and see if I can't get on board.
That does sound right up your alley.
It's right up my alley.
It's right in your sweet spot.
And we'll take a break and we'll come back. We'll preview this game this afternoon. Before we do, Manly 36, Warriors 26, but still 9 to go. So this game's still wide open at Brookvale Oval. A break and back with a preview of Dragons Doggies as Triple M rocks the footy.
Triple M's NRL Primetime.
Well, this is something nice here before we go any further, boys. St George District Rugby League Football Club have today officially inducted 3 new Dragons players along with the club's inaugural St George team of 1921 into the Legends Walk at Cogra as part of the club's centenary celebrations. Modern-day legends Ben Creagh, Jason Nightingale and Ben Hornby have been chosen for this wonderful, well, it's a real honour, isn't it? The Legends Walk at Cogra. And so you can now add to that name, to that list, Ben Creagh, Jason Nightingale and Ben Hornby, the illustrious list of 18 legends already inducted, and along with the club's inaugural team, they'll take pride of place forever outside the spiritual home of the Dragons at Jubilee Oval.
Can you just explain that again? So that's St George Illawarra or St George and Illawarra?
I think it's just the Dragons. I think it's just because it's a Cogra thing and it only says Dragons on that press release.
Right.
But anyway, Ben Hornby might be able to tell us more. He's on the line. We don't get to speak to Benny much. Hello, Ben.
How he's going?
Good, mate. Member of the Rabbitohs coaching staff now. But I do recall our mutual friend, the General, Luke Patton, telling me that when you knocked it on the head and he knocked it on the head, you were going to go back and have a year with the Corrimal Cougars.
Yeah, the thought did cross my mind, and then I thought, no, I don't know if my body's going to be up to that. So we never end up doing it. But, obviously the Cougars are very fond memories there. And me and Luke really came through the grades there. So it holds a special place in my heart as well.
Congratulations on being inducted in the Legends Walk. I know you don't want accolades like this, but it still must be nice to be remembered so fondly.
Yeah, it is good. It's just a huge honour. You know yourself, it's a club with a lot of history, and to be amongst those names that are on the Legends Walks, obviously, just something I can't believe. And looking back at my career, obviously I got the most out of myself, and at the end of the day, that's all we can ask. So, it's just a huge honour.
Can you give us a bit of an insight, Ben, into your career? Obviously, you had a lot of high points. You played State of Origin for New South Wales, won a premiership, captained the Dragons, their first title in 30 years. Just give us a bit of an insight about what it was like, particularly when Wayne Bennett initially came into the club, and it took a little while, but I'll tell you what, you're a benchmark organisation for that 3 seasons. Yeah, it was. It was a really special time, Hoops.
Brownie had obviously done a great job bringing a lot of us young kids through. Like he gave a lot of us out of booze. So footy-wise, we felt like we're in a good space, but Wayne really brought that winning mentality to the club, and I think that was the biggest difference when Wayne turned up. It wasn't so much the footy stuff. We were pretty well versed in that, but Wayne just taught us those little bits that help you win games. And we had some great years, and we're lucky enough to win pretty much every trophy that there was on offer for us at that time. And just really special memories.
Congratulations to you, mate. I remember seeing you play as a young kid and then coming through the grades and then having such a wonderful career, and now obviously back there with Wayne again at Redfern. How are you enjoying it? You're still living in the Gong, or and travelling up every day? What's the deal there?
Yeah, no, I'm still in the Gong. Maroon, you know as well as anyone how good it is down there. So, I'm still living down there, but it's great. It's South. They're a great club. We've got some great players, and the boys are really hungry. We had a little bit of a hiccup, obviously, on the weekend. That wasn't ideal, but we'll bounce back because we've got the sort of players that can do that. So we're looking forward to the rest of the year.
Talking about the weekend, how was Longneck after the loss?
He was disappointed. I don't think any of us really saw that coming, to be honest. Melbourne, take nothing away from them. They were fantastic. They played really well, but we were off the pace. And you've seen in the competition this year, if you're off the pace, you're going to get a score put on you. And that's where we ended up.
Will you have a quiet sherbet today with a couple of your premiership winning teammates in Benny Cray and also Jason Nightingale, having had this brilliant honour bestowed upon you, Ben?
Unfortunately, Hoops, because we're in the bubble, I haven't been able to do that.
Oh, no,
today,
the bubble.
Yeah, I've been able to go to the function. The NRL gave me an exemption there, but that was all they'd give me. So I'm back in the car, heading back down to Wollongong and into work tomorrow.
Good on you, Ben. Good catch up, mate. All the best for the remainder of the season.
Thanks, guys. Great to talk to you.
Good on you, mate. Ben Hornby joining us on the Sunday Sin Bin. That's just about it for us. This game at Brookvale, it's a cracking hot game. Manly 38, Warriors 32. And there's 3 minutes left on the clock. Manly 38, Warriors 32. We're going to let you go Gordy, because you're going to go and call the game with Dan.
Pleasure.
And we'll catch you tonight on the NRL wrap on Fox League.
Certainly will, Anthony.
Good on you, mate. We'll see you through the week too. That's about it for us here. Just one more reminder of the score with 2 minutes and 40 to go. Manly have the ball and they lead the game 38 points to 32, but there's still time. That's about it for us. Thanks to our sponsors today and all the boys and girls at Tyre Power. We'll see you next week on the Sunday Sin Bin.